Jiang Fan faces the heavenly mechanism elder with a letter and a lightning seal. The fate of Kayang City hangs on a single, devastating strike. Leave a like and subscribe to witness the final tribulation. Wing middle-aged man's pupils shrank. He had suffered a great loss from the wish paper and the breath soil. If it happened again, he wouldn't have a second chance for possession, and his soul would dissolve on the spot. He immediately retreated with instantaneous movement, but at the same time, a fierce glare flashed in his eyes, and a terrifying lightning shot out from his eyes, striking toward Jiang Fan. He couldn't believe Jiang Fan's life could be tougher than a spiritual artifact. Who knew? Seeing him retreat, Jiang Fan immediately extinguished the wish paper and without thinking performed another spatial teleportation. Boom! The lightning struck the vast sea where Jiang Fan was, creating a towering tsunami. But Jiang Fan had instantly moved to the beach, successfully standing on the continent. Only then did the thunder-wing middle-aged man realize that Jiang Fan's wish paper was a deceptive move. His anger flared and he roared. "You're playing with me?" Jiang Fan shrugged and said, "So what if I'm playing with you? With the wish paper, what can you do to me?" He waved the wish paper in his hand, warning while retreating. The thunder-wing middle-aged man's face turned dark. How could he bear such provocation? He was about to use instantaneous movement to eliminate Jiang Fan before he succeeded in making a wish. But, noticing the vast land behind Jiang Fan's face, he calmed down. He had heard rumors about Taikang's state on the continent. It was said that divinity transformation was forbidden there. Entering rashly would lead to very bad things. Such things are better believed to exist than not. Closely watching Jiang Fan's movements, he felt disappointed. He deliberately provoked the thunder-wing middle-aged man to lure him ashore and test the truth of the legend. Unexpectedly, both he and Venerate Zinni had heard of the legend. Jiang Fan patted his chest in a provoking manner and said, "Why aren't you coming? If you're a man, come and slash me." The thunder-wing middle-aged man clenched his fist, this damn brat. But as a Venerate of Heavenly Human 3 decline, his mind was exceptional, not so easily provoked. His eyes flashed, and he suddenly used instantaneous movement to return to the White Horse Temple monks. Casually grabbed a monk covered in blood with serious injuries, pressed his palm onto the monk's bald head, showing a vicious look. "I can't slash you, but I can slash these bald donkeys that help you." "Stop!" Jiang Fan's face changed, shouting loudly. He didn't like the monks of the White Horse Temple, but couldn't bear to see them implicated because of him. The thunder-wing middle-aged man sneered. "Within 3 breaths, come out for me, or I'll kill these bald donkeys one by one, including the Bodhisattva." Seeing Jiang Fan's compassion, unwilling to let these people suffer because of him, the thunder-wing middle-aged man was increasingly certain of Jiang Fan. Jiang Fan clenched his teeth, scanning the wounded monks. When he saw an old monk among them, his body shook violently. He was a kind-looking, calm-eyed old monk surrounded by a dignified aura. Slim figure, dark skin, looking somewhat shriveled. And he wasn't anyone else. He was one of the Six-Path Masters. Jiang Fan's head buzzed for a moment. No wonder the Six-Path Masters suddenly vanished. It turned out, after parting with the great Yin sect, he was introduced into Buddhism. It should be the identity of a Bodhisattva's lay disciple that Jiang Fan had arranged for the Six-Path Masters, which was heard by the Bodhisattva's disciple. The Bodhisattva then came, fulfilling the Six-Path Master's wish, truly taking him as a disciple. 3, 2... The thunder-wing middle-aged man's cold countdown brought Jiang Fan back to reality. His face changed. With the Six-Path Masters present, he couldn't let the thunder-wing middle-aged man kill them all. He quickly walked towards the continent's edge, saying, "I'm coming out. Don't harm them." The thunder-wing middle-aged man's eyes showed amusement. "I can't deal with you. Also, take your hands out, put them where I can see them." He was most afraid of Jiang Fan secretly using the wish paper. Therefore, he had to guard against Jiang Fan playing tricks. Jiang Fan withdrew his hands from his sleeves, extending his arms to prevent the thunder-wing middle-aged man from suspecting, causing harm to the innocent. He then took steps toward the continent's exterior. With a look of unwillingness, he said, "Senior, I want to ask you a question." The thunder-wing middle-aged man snorted. "No more nonsense, get out quickly, or I'll crush him." He exerted force with his 5 fingers, pressing into the monk's heavenly spirit cover, with blood continuously flowing out and covering the monk's face, causing him to groan in pain. Jiang Fan hurried, quickened his steps, and said, "I just want to know why the young emperor wants to kill me." The thunder-wing middle-aged man's eyes turned venomous. "Of course, because you deserve death." thinking of Jiang Fan causing him to lose the young emperor's domain for nothing. He wanted nothing more than to tear Jiang Fan to pieces. Jiang Fan continued, "Senior, why do you hate me? If you were in my position, you were suddenly ambushed, nearly facing death, wouldn't you be unable to resist seeking revenge? Destroying the young emperor's domain once I was forced to do it." The thunder-winged middle-aged man's eyes narrowed. "How do you know I lost the young emperor's domain once? Have you seen it? Wait, the death of Venerate Zinni, could it be related to you?" He always suspected that the one who killed Venerate Zinni was the Venerate on Taikang State. But now suddenly realizing the teenager in front of him also had the strength to kill Venerate Zinni. Jiang Fan said nothing, implicitly acknowledging. The thunder-winged middle-aged man laughed angrily. "Aha, it's you, a practitioner of Void Flow Thunder Force who killed Venerate Zinni. It seems I can complete 2 tasks given by the young emperor alone. Get over here. I will skin you alive to claim credit from the young emperor?" Laughing. Suddenly, an incomparably mysterious power suddenly enveloped the thunder-winged middle-aged man. He paused for a moment, and before he could react, disappeared into thin air at the original spot. Upon reappearing, he found himself on the beach where Jiang Fan had stood, while Jiang Fan now stood in his previous position, supporting the hostage monk. The thunder-winged middle-aged man was stunned, confused. "Is this the power of the wish paper? But where did you get a wish paper?" At this moment, a little round brown-red head emerged from the mirror in Jiang Fan's arms. It was the little Qilin. It spat out the ash from its mouth disgustedly. Indeed, Jiang Fan did not hold a wish paper, but the little Qilin could grip it with its mouth. Turns out, early on, when the thunder-winged middle-aged man took the monk hostage, Jiang Fan predicted that he would be wary of him using the wish paper. Thus, he had already handed it over to the little Qilin and waited for the opportunity to make a wish. The thunder-winged middle-aged man's pupils contracted, but he said, "But when did you make a wish?" Suddenly, he realized. Jiang Fan made a seemingly unwilling remark. "If it were you in my position." This was making a wish, exchanging positions with each other. Understanding, the thunder-winged middle-aged man felt shocked and furious. He had been tricked onto the continent by Jiang Fan. This was the forbidden area to divinity transformation. He lowered his head and glanced at his feet, standing firmly on the beach, which was within the continent's range. His heart pounded with fear. Without thinking, he decisively used instantaneous movement, escaping from the continent's range and appearing above the vast sea. Finding himself still safe, only then did his wildly racing heart calm down. He couldn't help but laugh. Ha ha ha, the legend of divinity transformation forbidden entry turned out to be just a legend. This continent is far less terrifying than rumored. Kid, is your face green? To exchange positions using massive resources wishing to exchange positions. In the end, I'm still safe and sound. Ha 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 ha. But as he laughed, he suddenly couldn't laugh. Because both Jiang Fan and the monks were staring at him, their pupils shrinking. To be precise, they were staring behind him. Halt, even the usually calm and composed bodhisattva was rapidly changing appearances. Each face bore eyes filled with shock. The thunder-winged middle-aged felt a chill run down his spine, faintly sensing something terrifying silently watching him from behind. The feeling was like a little frog being stared at by a venomous snake. An unfamiliar feeling of panic, one not felt in decades, surged in his heart. His Adam's apple bobbed, and he turned his head with difficulty to look behind him. Behind him, the void had unknowingly split open into a massive rift stretching across the heavens. Within the rift, a pair of faint golden eyes quietly gazed at him. Just one glance, and the thunder-winged middle-aged had his hairs stand on end. The divine ring at the back of his head instantly shattered into pieces. Connected by the heart and spirit, the thunder-winged middle-aged spat out a mouthful of blood, his face swiftly turning pale gold. A deep-seated terror from the soul made this supreme being in the midst of the heavenly human 3 decline uncontrollably tremble. From within the rift, the owner of those golden eyes spoke in a calm voice. "Divinity transformation forbidden, sages stand back. Violation of ancient taboos, even the Buddha cannot save you." The thunder-winged middle-aged's pupils contracted sharply, begging in a trembling voice. "I did not intend to ascend to the continent. It was that Jiang Fan who framed me. He set me up." Bang! Before his words could fade, the thunder-winged middle-aged exploded into a mist of blood under the gaze of the golden eyes. Together with his clothing, spiritual artifacts, space storage device, and all his thunder path power. Instantly, everything vanished without a trace. Nothing was left behind. The rift closed along with the golden eyes slowly receding into the endless darkness. Silence hung over the vast sea. Only the red-tinted waves crashed against the shore, making a rhythmic sound. Jiang Fan, the monks, even the Bodhisattva, were all so shocked they scarcely dared to breathe. Just one look, and it annihilated a supreme venerate in the midst of the heavenly human three decline. Who on earth was the owner of those golden eyes? Judging by the voice, it was a woman. Could it be that mysterious woman from back then, who willfully renamed Lingzhu Island to continent, forcing Taikang State to alter maps overnight? After a long while, Jiang Fan finally recovered. He took a deep breath. So the legend of divinity transformation being forbidden was false, because it was only half the sentence. The complete phrase should be, divinity transformation forbidden, sages stand back. Not only are divinity transformations barred from the continent, even those from the virtuous realm are not to set foot on the continent lightly. Jiang Fan felt the world spinning, the once familiar, barren continent now giving him an unprecedented sense of alienation. What secrets did this continent hold? Why was it forbidden to powerful beings? The Bodhisattva was also shocked, gazing at the continent, speechless for a long time. The rumor about divinity transformation's ban had persisted for ages, even he couldn't pinpoint from which era it originated. He had doubted the rumor's authenticity. Unexpectedly, today it was proven before his eyes, and he had witnessed an indescribable abyssal presence. He had no doubt that if those golden eyes had looked at him, he too would disappear without a trace, erased from existence. Amitabha, how fortunate! After a moment he regained his senses, pressing his palms together and bowing to the continent. Then he turned to Jiang Fan. Master Jiang, please produce the prison-suppressing soul scripture. I will personally open it. He only wished to quickly imprint a copy of the scripture's content, then swiftly distance himself from the continent, never to approach it again in this life. The place where the misfortuned sage had fallen was called the first ominous land of Taikang State. But now it seemed the continent itself was the first ominous land. After a brief thought, Jiang Fan looked toward the Six-Path Masters. All right. However, release him first. The Bodhisattva hesitated, nodding slightly. Good, for the prison-suppressing soul scripture. He even gave up enlightening Jiang Fan, let alone a Six-Path Masters. Immediately, he raised a hand, extracting a thread of Buddha light from the Six-Path Master's body. Just like when the Sky Demon Emperor was forced to leave the vulgar life in the past, the Six-Path Masters, who had held a noble air moments ago, suddenly exclaimed after a brief daze. Ah, Bodhisattva, please spare me. I had nothing to do with it. It was Jiang Fan, that little rascal who falsely claimed me as a secular disciple under you. If there's blame to be laid or debt to be paid, enlighten him instead. By the way, I'll tell you secretly the Bodhi tree is with that little rascal. Don't let him go. Of course, when you enlighten him, do not say it was me who told. The Bodhisattva remained silent. The monks around did as well. Jiang Fan nodded. On behalf of the Bodhisattva, I promise he won't tell Jiang Fan. The Six-Path Masters hastily clasped his hands in salute. Thank you, thank you. Hey, why does this voice sound so familiar? Turning his head, he found a middle-aged monk and couldn't help but say, Who are you? I'm talking here and you interrupt. Jiang Fan chuckled, reaching up to remove his mask, revealing a handsome, youthful face. Ah, it's Jiang Fan. The Six-Path Masters stood there awkwardly, his face flushed red as he said, Jiang, brother Jiang, what a coincidence. You're also here for a walk. Have you had dinner? Jiang Fan's face darkened, veins pulsing on his forehead, and he said, Bodhisattva, keep this old guy in your Buddhist sect. Do not let him out. Only then did the Six-Path Masters realize that he was released because Jiang Fan convinced the Bodhisattva. He slapped his thigh, quickly flattering. Ah, brother Jiang, my dear brother. I knew you would save me. Jiang Fan snorted. I went through fire and water for you and you stabbed me in the back. Going so far as snitching about the Bodhi tree? The Six-Path Masters awkwardly grimaced, but then remembered something, pointing at his own bald head, he said angrily. And you blame me? Look at what you did. You falsely claimed me as a secular disciple under the Bodhisattva who immediately came knocking on my door. Hearing this, Jiang Fan felt a pang of guilt. He indeed worsened the Six-Path Master's situation. Had it not been for the prison-suppressing soul scripture, it would have been both him and the Six-Path Masters, as two unlucky brothers, becoming bald monks at the White Horse Temple. The Six-Path Masters would be the old bald one. Jiang Fan would be the young bald one. He cleared his throat. Let's call it even. The Bodhisattva, watching the interaction with amusement, said, You two really are amusing. Why not become my secular disciples? But the six-path masters shook his head like a rattle. No, 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 let Jiang Fan do it. I've been down that road before. Jiang Fan shot him a glance, then said to the Bodhisattva, Bodhisattva better choose this old guy. He has experience, should be prioritized. The Bodhisattva, with a smiling face, said, All right, since you both are unwilling, I won't force it. Bring out the prison-suppressing soul scripture. Let's view it together. Jiang Fan was puzzled, asking, Bodhisattva, you are not surprised at all about the Bodhi tree being with me. The Bodhisattva smiled faintly. I have known all along. Ah. Jiang Fan was startled. When did you know that the Bodhi tree is actually on me? The Bodhisattva said. From the moment you took out the soul-suppressing Buddha beads, I knew. That string of soul-suppressing Buddha beads belonged to a Vajra from the heavenly state 1,000 years ago. He came to the Taikang state to assist us in resisting the ancient giants. After the Great War ended, a temple from the heavenly state came searching for him, saying he carried a Bodhi seed with him. So, when you took out the soul-suppressing Buddha beads, I realized that the Bodhi tree you mentioned was nurtured from that Bodhi seed. And it should indeed be in your possession. Jiang Fan suddenly understood. It turns out the Bodhi tree was hidden within him, something the Bodhisattva had long known but chose not to reveal. And he was simply playing along with Jiang Fan, giving him clues once a month as part of an act. Speaking of which, the White Horse Temple hadn't asked him about clues to locate the Bodhi tree for the past month. This indirectly shows that they weren't very concerned about so-called clues, because they already knew where the Bodhi tree was. The White Horse Temple's apprehension of Jiang Fan was solely because he could move the connecting sky-black pillar. Jiang Fan became even more puzzled. Doesn't the Bodhisattva want the Bodhi tree? Having witnessed many of the Bodhisattva's methods, he didn't think that his former self could have stopped him from forcibly taking the Bodhi tree. The Bodhisattva replied calmly, If it were 10 years ago, I would have been confident in nurturing a Bodhisattva. Now, it's too late. Meditating and seeking enlightenment under the Bodhi tree for 10 years is required to successfully achieve enlightenment. But with the catastrophe looming, time is simply insufficient. Jiang Fan understood. Initially, the Bodhisattva indeed desired the Bodhi tree greatly. But later, upon hearing from Tian's Shura that ancient giants would descend in 3 months, he abandoned the Bodhi tree. Then is this Bodhi tree useless? Jiang Fan asked. He wasn't really pained by it. This Buddhist divine tree was never of much use to him. He kept it solely to balance the White Horse Temple. Now that the balance was gone, it was redundant to keep it with him. The Bodhisattva said, The karma in this world is indescribably wondrous. The divine tree that neither my White Horse Temple nor the Buddhist temples of the heavenly state could find you encountered. This is your destiny with this tree. Keep it by your side. One day it might be useful to you. Hearing this, Jiang Fan nodded lightly. He dismissed the thought of discarding it, took a deep breath, and took out the prison-suppressing soul scripture, saying, All right, let's read this scripture together now. The six-path masters came over, their eyes lit up. Oh my! A black Buddhist scripture. Could this be the same scroll that the White Horse Temple and Jiang family have been searching for hundreds of years? When did you get such a good thing, kid? Let me take a look too, see what incredible text it contains. Jiang Fan pushed away his old face with disdain. Stay away from me. Your whole body reeks of chaotic thunder aura. It's unbearable. The six-path masters blew their beard and glared. I haven't practiced the Thunder Tao divine power in ages. Where did the thunder aura come from? Jiang Fan paused for a moment. The smell jade in his mouth was still a thin piece, which was why he could smell the thunder aura. But upon hearing the six-path masters, he was surprised. If the thunder aura wasn't from the six-path masters, then whose was it? That thunder-wing middle-aged fellow had been obliterated, not even ashes remaining. He pondered for a moment. He lightly sniffed with his nose and suddenly frowned, looking toward the seabed. The chaotic thunder aura was coming from the seabed. This indicated that there was still someone cultivating Thunder Tao divine power here. Jiang Fan's mind shook violently. He suddenly remembered during the battle with the 2-star giant king. The state-level teleportation array in the ocean experienced 2 instances of space shift. Could it be that, from the heavenly state Young Emperor Mountain, there actually came 2 people? Further recalling, the Thunder Wing middle-aged said that he was only responsible for investigating the cause of Venerate Zinni's death. Killing him was just a matter of conveniently eliminating the cultivator of Void Flow Thunder Force. Doesn't this indicate that there's someone specifically here to eliminate practitioners of Void Flow Thunder? His heart pounded violently, and his face changed dramatically. Without a second thought, he used the space technique to instantly move away from the spot. In the next moment, he appeared several hundred feet away. Yet before he could stabilize his form, his shoulder slightly sank, and a hand covered with Thunderbolt pressed on his shoulder. A voice with a hint of sarcasm sounded behind his ear. "Almost let you escape." Jiang Fan turned his head to see a young man in black clothes, around 27 or 28, standing behind him with a half-smile. On the back of his head there was a divine ring. On it were engraved 2 flame marks. He was clearly a young venerate of heavenly human 2 declines at the divinity transformation level. Jiang Fan's heart sank. He forced himself to remain calm and said, "Sir, are you also from Young Emperor Mountain?" "I want to show you something." The person in front of him, being able to identify him directly, likely had already confirmed that he was a practitioner of Void Flow Thunder Force. If there was no way to manage the situation, they would certainly decisively strike him down. The time was extremely limited, leaving no room for strategy. He had to shock him immediately, and the only thing he could try was the sawtooth sword given to him by Venerable Xianxia. They were both from Young Emperor Mountain. He should recognize Venerable Xianxia's top-grade spirit sword, right? But it's unclear if this person was acting under the young emperor's orders and whether he'd care. This was also why he didn't bring it out when dealing with the Thunder Wing middle-aged earlier. Too many unknowns. But now there was no time to ponder. He could only give it a try. However, what made Jiang Fan's pupils constrict was, the young man in black sneered, "No need. I saw how the initial venerate died. He died from underestimating you, giving you a chance. And I won't make the same mistake." As soon as he finished speaking, a flash of killing intent in his eyes, the hand pressed on Jiang Fan's shoulder suddenly struck. How invincible is the strike of a venerate of heavenly human 2 declines? How could Jiang Fan's nascent soul realm physique withstand it? With this, he was bound to be crushed. The Bodhisattva in the distance was too late to act. Everything happened too fast, all in the blink of an eye. The monks hadn't even understood what happened when the young man in black had already struck, giving Jiang Fan no chance for survival. Jiang Fan's vision darkened, and a bitter smile appeared in his heart. After much effort to kill the Thunder Wing middle-aged, it turned out there was a terrifying presence lurking in the dark all along, waiting to kill him. The pain surged from his shoulder. That was the power of the young man's palm penetrating his body. To ensure Jiang Fan's death, the young man in black used all his might as a venerate of heavenly human 2 declines. With such a strike, there was no suspense. Jiang Fan didn't even have a chance to use divine arts to counterattack. He truly never anticipated that death would come so suddenly, so swiftly. Time seemed to freeze at this moment. The Bodhisattva's pupils contracted sharply, the 6-path masters opened their mouths in urgent cries, the monks ran with hurried steps, waiting for the next moment, when Jiang Fan would turn into a mist of blood. But just at that moment, moo, a loud moo of a blue ox swept across the heavens and earth. The sound had immense penetration, causing the space around to tremble violently. The black-clothed youth's body trembled as well, and his hand, which was about to strike Jiang Fan, paused. When he regained his senses, a ruthless glint appeared in his eyes, and he aimed to strike Jiang Fan once more. With a slap, a gigantic hoof suddenly appeared by his side, kicking him on the shoulder. Boom! He, being in the heavenly human 2 declines phase, was kicked away like a paper doll under the hoof. The black-clothed youth flew several miles back, tasting blood in his mouth. He looked ahead in shock. He saw a huge blue ox appearing beside Jiang Fan. It was its hind hoof that had kicked him away. On the back of the blue ox sat a shabby elder with tattered clothes and an unkempt appearance. His face was full of dense pimples. It looked like a toad's skin. At this moment, as Jiang Fan was rescued, the pimples mysteriously disappeared one by one. The shabby elder touched his face, relieved, and with a smile revealed his large yellow teeth. Just made it in time. If he had been a moment later, with Jiang Fan dead, he would have died under heaven's wrath. The black-clothed youth, rolling to a distance, recognized the elder and was shocked, saying solemnly, "Heavenly mechanism, elder, how come you are in Taikang state?" This was a mysterious existence rarely seen. The heavenly mechanism elder replied irritably, "If I didn't come, I'd be killed by your young Emperor Mountain. Go back and tell your young emperor stop causing trouble for Jiang Fan. If you want to seek death, don't drag me down." The black-clothed youth was extremely shocked, looking at Jiang Fan, who was also in black, with eyes full of disbelief. Who is this young man? To actually receive the protection of the heavenly mechanism elder. Moreover, from the words, there seemed to be great taboo regarding Jiang Fan, as if he held some deadly great cause and effect. After considering for a moment, he nodded slightly. Since the heavenly mechanism elder is protecting him, I will return to report farewell. With the heavenly mechanism elder personally intervening, it was understandable that his mission failed, and the young emperor wouldn't punish him further. After speaking, he was about to leave. Wait, the heavenly mechanism elder snorted, leave all your thunder power. Consider it compensation for Jiang Fan. What? The black-clothed youth's face darkened. Please don't make things difficult. He had already given the heavenly mechanism elder enough face by sparing Jiang Fan. Now he wanted him to leave the thunder power. It was an unreasonable demand. The heavenly mechanism elder chuckled. I'm saving you. Do you still think you're at a loss? Others might not know, but he was aware of the two terrifying heavenly secrets hidden within Jiang Fan. If the black-clothed youth failed to kill Jiang Fan today, he would surely face Jiang Fan's revenge in the future. The great calamity of the ancient giant was approaching, and already 2 divinity transformation venerables had been killed by Jiang Fan, a loss for Central Earth. A third such instance cannot occur. Having the black-clothed youth leave the thunder power was a way to avert his destiny of being killed. The black-clothed youth's expression changed slightly. If anyone else had said such mysterious words, he would have scoffed. But coming from the heavenly mechanism elder, it sent chills down his spine. Recalling that even the initial venerate was killed by Jiang Fan, it wasn't impossible for Jiang Fan to kill him in the future. Therefore, after some inner turmoil, he reluctantly took out a thunder mountain. Its surface was multicolored with thunder arcs splattering. About 8 zhang high. Not much different from the thunder mountain venerate Zinni left for Jiang Fan. He placed the thunder mountain down, gave Jiang Fan a long, silent look, and then swiftly left. After he had gone far, the heavenly mechanism elder finally revealed a smile, showing his yellow teeth, and with a wave of his hand, sent the thunder mountain to Jiang Fan. Little friend, Jiang, sorry you had to go through this scare. Jiang Fan glanced at the thunder mountain before him, then curiously examined the heavenly mechanism elder in front of him. He had heard of this person long ago, because it was he who spread the rumor that the continent had an Earth-Chi dragon ball only possessed by the ancient saints. This resulted in the Tiger Demon Emperor Mansion, and many powerful figures from Taikang Great State vying for it. To think, this heavenly mechanism elder was such a highly ranked existence. With a few words, he made a venerable of heaven and human 2 declines retreat from the assassination attempt. Concealing his thoughts, he clasped his hands in gratitude. Thank you, elder, for saving me. At this point, he couldn't help but glance at the large blue ox. Was this ox from the demon race? With just 1 hoof, it kicked a venerable of the heavenly human 2 declines away. Its strength must be at least equal to the heavenly human 2 declines, right? The heavenly mechanism elder stepped forward. No need to thank me, I owed you. Jiang Fan puzzled. Why do you say that, elder? The heavenly mechanism elder was a bit embarrassed, not daring to mention that he helped venerate Zinni calculate that Jiang Fan was a practitioner of void flow thunder force. He dodged the topic. Everything has a cause and effect, no need to ask more. Keep this thunder mountain and we'll be even. We'll owe each other nothing in the future. Suspicion on Jiang Fan's face grew. Where in the world is their random goodwill? Though the heavenly mechanism elder said he owed him, they hadn't interacted at all. First rescuing him, then gifting a thunder mountain, how could he not be wary? Heavenly listening Bodhisattva smiled gently with a magnetic and slow voice. Accept it. The resentment between you and venerate Zinni, along with the ensuing dangers today, all stem from one of the heavenly mechanism elder's divinations. Due to this, he suffered heavenly wrath, and today he came to amend his mistake. A divination. Jiang Fan immediately recalled how venerate Zinni suddenly attacked the heavenly mechanism pavilion, suspecting him heavily. So it was the heavenly mechanism elder who divined the heavenly secrets and led venerate Zinni to find him. Thinking of this, he became outraged. If not for the heavenly mechanism elder, venerate Zinni would never have found him. Venerate Zinni would have returned to young Emperor Mountain after failing his mission. He wouldn't have died by Jiang Fan's hand, and thus the young emperor wouldn't have sent 2 even more terrifying venerables because of his death. So it was you behind this, Jiang Fan angrily remarked. The heavenly mechanism elder glared at the Bodhisattva. You meddlesome bald donkey, not only are your ears sharp, but your mouth is too. How did Central Earth allow you this grand wish to hear the voices of all living beings? Others might not know of the heavenly mechanism elder's dealings with venerate Zinni. But how could the heavenly listening bodhisattva not hear? Then he met Jiang Fan's fiery eyes, coughed dryly. Didn't the old man come to save you and end the cause and effect? How about this? I'll give you one more thing as compensation. He took out a Thunderbolt Seal the size of a thumb, filled with intense origin power. This is what I obtained when Venerate Zinni asked me to perform the divination. Now I give it to you. It should help you cultivate Void Flow Thunder Force to great success. Jiang Fan's eyes brightened. Thunderbolt Origin. There's actually such a thing. Only then did he subdue the fury in his eyes. All right, we'll call it even. Best to let it go. Otherwise, what could he possibly do against the Heavenly Mechanism Elder? The Heavenly Mechanism Elder, relieved, unwillingly tossed the Thunderbolt Origin to Jiang Fan, saying, "Lucky you. Let's not meet again, little freak." Saying this, he spurred the ox forward. Off we go. But at that moment, Jiang Fan called out to him. "Hold on a moment, Elder. Someone once asked me to deliver a letter to you." Sound Priestess handed him a letter, instructing that if he ever had the chance to meet a person named the Heavenly Mechanism Elder, he should give the letter to him. Now that he has finally met him, he should fulfill the Spirit Sound Priestess's instructions. The Heavenly Mechanism Elder wondered, "Who is it? I'm not familiar with you people from Taikang State." Jiang Fan shook his head, saying, "I'm only responsible for delivering the letter. As for other matters, I am not aware." He felt puzzled in his heart. Before meeting the Heavenly Mechanism Elder, he hadn't thought there was anything unusual about Spirit Sound's letter. However, having witnessed the Heavenly Mechanism Elder's cultivation level on par with at least a divinity transformation venerable, he was amazed. Just what kind of power does the Spirit Sound Priestess possess, to be associated with such a mysterious and powerful figure like the Heavenly Mechanism Elder? The Heavenly Mechanism Elder also showed confusion, stretched out his hand, and said, "Let me see the letter." Jiang Fan took out the letter, and in the next moment it instantaneously moved into the dirty old hand of the Heavenly Mechanism Elder. With gray-white eyebrows furrowed, the Heavenly Mechanism Elder unfolded it to take a look. After just one glance, he shrieked in fright. Stumbling back, he rolled off the broad back of the green ox, plunging into the seawater. Yet he held the letter high above with both hands, not daring to let it get wet, as if it were a sacred decree from the Emperor held by a commoner in awe. He shivered as he climbed out, trembling as he spoke. She's still alive." Jiang Fan looked utterly confused. Who is the she mentioned here? Is it the Spirit Sound Priestess, or someone even more powerful? Even the Bodhisattva found this intriguing, eyes flashing with the light of wisdom, clearly contemplating who the Heavenly Mechanism Elder referred to could be. To command such respect from the Heavenly Mechanism Elder, it was almost unimaginable who this powerful being might be. The Heavenly Mechanism Elder swallowed hard multiple times, finally calming the storm in his heart, as he moved his aging eyes toward the contents of the letter. The letter was clearly not large, and contained just a few brief lines. Yet the Heavenly Mechanism Elder studied it for a full minute. He carefully looked at each word, not daring to hastily skim. After reading it, his face showed awe, along with a hint of embarrassment. Finally, his gaze fell on Jiang Fan, filled with caution, his demeanor now polite, even somewhat respectful. He clasped his hands, saying, "Friend Jiang, that person." After a pause, he corrected himself. Did the writer of this letter have anything else to say? Jiang Fan was surprised. Could the Heavenly Mechanism Elder actually fear the Spirit Sound Priestess? He was a bit taken aback. What is the identity of the Spirit Sound Priestess to make the Heavenly Mechanism Elder frightened to this level? When he interacted with her, aside from finding her mysterious, he didn't feel anything particularly unusual. He recalled that when he first met the Spirit Sound Priestess, he even used the enchantment powder for the 6 harmonies immortal to threaten her. And he was still alive and well. He speculated, replying, "No other instructions, only that I should hand over the letter to you. But what does the letter say? I saw you looked quite troubled." The Heavenly Mechanism Elder's old face flushed, and he said, "The letter commands 2 things. One is to divine for you to predict fortune or misfortune. Another is for me to streak naked, running around the Central Earth 9 provinces." Whoosh, Jiang Fan almost popped his eyes out. What, streaking? Around the 9 provinces? And the mysterious Heavenly Mechanism Elder? How could the Spirit Sound Priestess dare to write such? Isn't she afraid of angering the Heavenly Mechanism Elder? Yet what took Jiang Fan by surprise was the Heavenly Mechanism Elder had no intention of resisting. Instead, he urged, "Come over, I'll divine for you." Jiang Fan was utterly shocked. The spirit sound priestess, isn't she just a priestess of the demon race? He walked forward in a daze, his eyes filled with amazement. The heavenly mechanism elder cautiously glanced in the direction of the continent, full of nervousness. About to form a seal, the heavenly listening bodhisattva hesitated slightly, saying, "It is said that the heavenly mechanism elder can intercept heavenly secrets, knowing past and future. I wish to use a grand vow of heavenly listening to ask the heavenly mechanism elder to divine my future." The heavenly mechanism elder thought for a moment, saying, "Very well, I will divine for all of you together." After a pause, he glanced at the six-path masters. "You are also affected by a divination I made in the past, entangled with cause and effect. You come as well, I will conveniently divine for you too." Jiang Fan was to eliminate suspicion regarding the void flow thunder force, thus six-path masters posed as a lay disciple of the bodhisattva. He was taken into Buddhism, entwined with some cause and effect with the heavenly mechanism elder. Six-path master had no objections. Thus, the three gathered before the heavenly mechanism elder. The heavenly mechanism elder closed his eyes, intercepting the secrets. The sky immediately revealed a gigantic eye, monumental enough to veil the sun. It seemed capable of perceiving the origins of all things. After a moment, the giant eye vanished. Yet the heavenly mechanism elder kept his eyes closed for a long time, not opening them. The heavenly listening bodhisattva intuitively sensed something, calmly saying, "Could someone among us have an exceedingly poor destiny?" With these words, the heavenly mechanism elder slowly opened his eyes. His gaze swept over the bodhisattva, six-path masters, and Jiang Fan successively. In his eyes, fleeting expressions of solemnity, compassion, and astonishment appeared in order. After scanning the three, he spoke with a very complex tone, slightly hoarse. "You three will all die." Thud. In the hearts of the three, it was as if struck by a heavy hammer, producing a muffled sound. Even though the heavenly listening bodhisattva already had foresight about his own fate, upon hearing the divination, he still showed a momentary daze. Finally, he clasped his hands together, saying, "Amitabha. Birth, aging, illness, and death are all natural. Why cling? Why resist?" The six-path masters appeared rather calm, saying, "As a remnant soul, having barely achieved possession to be reborn, my lifespan is limited. Death, I am not afraid, but I wonder if I can find my daughter before dying." Jiang Fan was stunned for a long time, struggling to accept it. He pointed at himself. "Heavenly mechanism elder, did you say I too will die?" Even after having faced so many deadly crises, truly knowing he would die someday was still hard to accept. The heavenly mechanism elder looked at him, seriously nodding his head. Jiang Fan bit lightly on his lip, asking, "Will the body perish, but the soul remains?" If the soul still exists, it could possess anew. The heavenly mechanism elder shook his head, saying complexly, "It is the complete annihilation of both body and soul, returning to the earth." Jiang Fan's body swayed. After so much has been achieved, will it all come to a screeching halt? Images of the heavenly mechanism pavilion members' expectations flashed through his mind, as did the faces of Fairy Yunshang, Gong Keiyi, and the True Word Venerable, along with the expectant looks of Su Yoren, Chen Silin, Yue Mingzhu, and Ling Shu. A rush of pain and unwillingness surged in his heart. Clenching his fist tightly, he asked, "How long until that happens?" The heavenly mechanism elder said, "Not long." Jiang Fan staggered and asked again, "How do I die?" The heavenly mechanism elder remained silent for a moment before slowly saying, "You die at the hands of the one you trust most." Fan felt lost. He has always been cautious and never easily trusted others. Only someone with impeccable character could earn his trust. If their character is faultless, why would they want to kill him? Jiang Fan asked, "Who is it?" The heavenly mechanism elder shook his head. "I don't know. What I divined is the heavenly mechanism, not predicting the future. The heavenly mechanism is ambiguous, like an elephant touched by a blind man, indescribable. What I just said is all I know." Jiang Fan fell silent. For a moment he felt utterly hopeless. The six-path masters looked with sympathy and said, "Elder heavenly mechanism, may I ask, will the divined heavenly mechanism definitely come true? Is there a way to avoid it through some means? My life is almost over, I don't care if I die, but it's too regrettable for Jiang. He's so young with such a promising future. Couldn't you rewrite the heavenly mechanism to spare him from death?" The heavenly mechanism elder sighed lightly towards the sky. Heavenly mechanism, a fateful opportunity ordained by heaven. What is decreed by the heavens cannot be changed. Even the ancient saint cannot. Jiang Fan's lips curled into a bitter smile. He too harbored such a wishful thought. Originally, he thought like the prediction of the five-star giant king, if you pay enough price you can rewrite the future. Who knew, even the ancient saint couldn't alter a person's heavenly mechanism. The heavenly mechanism elder patted his shoulder, sighed, and said, "Everyone has their fate. Cherish the limited time you have." He then turned to the Bodhisattva and said, "You are the first to die according to fate, be prepared." After speaking, he suddenly felt a stinging pain on his face. Looking in the mirror, the sores that had barely disappeared sprang up again. His graying hair became even whiter. With a pained face, he said, "My handsome old face. I've lost again." Divining the heavenly mechanism comes at a cost. He paid an even greater price for divining the mechanisms for 3 people simultaneously. But this wasn't his greatest worry, because there was a second request on the letter. He glanced around, coughed, and said, "I, an old man, need to undress. None of you have strange habits, right?" All the monks silently turned away. Reluctantly, the heavenly mechanism elder took off his tattered clothes. Naked, he leapt onto the back of a big green ox and patted its rump. "Stupid ox, what are you standing there for?" "Won't you go?" The big green ox mooed, seemingly asking where to go. The heavenly mechanism elder blushed and cursed. "Where else can we go? Of course it's a lap around the states. Moo, don't moo, do you want the sea demon clan to kill me? Moo moo. Stupid ox, I told you not to moo again, or tonight we'll have beef hot pot." Moo moo moo. On the vast sea, a big green ox carried a ranting old man, charging across the ocean, mooing all the way. This comical scene didn't bring a smile to Jiang Fan and the others. The monks gathered around the Bodhisattva. Master Puguang said compassionately, "Bodhisattva, the Buddha will bless you." All the monks appeared sorrowful, unable to accept the heavenly mechanism of the heavenly listening Bodhisattva's downfall. The heavenly listening Bodhisattva had a peaceful smile on his lips. "The journey home is fixed. My heart is finally at peace. Next, I will prepare fully for the catastrophe to find a silver lining for the monks of White Horse Temple." The monks' eyes showed sadness. All put their hands together in prayer. The heavenly listening Bodhisattva turned his gaze to Jiang Fan, smiled, and said, "Master Jiang, do not be despondent. Death is the inevitability of life, only the difference between sooner and later, today and tomorrow. In finite life, doing meaningful things is the responsibility life has assigned us. I hope you recover soon. The beings of Taikang State are waiting for you." Jiang Fan responded blankly, bowed slightly, and said, "Thank you, Bodhisattva, for enlightening me." He glanced at the Buddhist scripture in his hand and offered it forward, "To you." Heavenly listening Bodhisattva gently shook his head. "It's meaningless to me now. If Master Jiang has affinity with my Buddha, give it to a great Bodhisattva someday. Let the scripture be passed down. This is the scripture needed for the practice of a great Bodhisattva who resonates with the Buddha venerate." He could not wait to become a great Bodhisattva. Hands together, he bowed to Jiang Fan and the Six-Path Masters. The heavenly listening Bodhisattva led the monks away. The Six-Path Masters sighed deeply and comforted. "Jiang, I know you feel bad, but the shorter our life, the less we should waste it, do meaningful things in the limited time. Next, I will fully search for my daughter. As long as I can find her, I will pass willingly." Jiang Fan forced a smile and said, "I understand. About your daughter. I suggest you meet Bai Xin. Hope that can help you, Bai Xin." The Six-Path Masters looked puzzled and said, "That girl who won't stop hunting me. You wouldn't suspect she's my daughter, would you? Don't make jokes. If my daughter was still alive, she'd be an old lady by now. How could she be a young girl?" Jiang Fan thought for a moment, deciding to temporarily conceal Bai Xin's reincarnation as a true demon. His expression turned serious. "I'm not sure either. You need to go confirm yourself." The Six-Path Master's pupils quivered slightly. Knowing Jiang Fan, if he wasn't 70 or 80% sure, he wouldn't say such a thing lightly. Could it be that Bai Xin is his daughter who has been lost for over 50 years? His aged body trembled lightly, his lips quivered, his voice low and choking. He said, "All right, I'll go see right now. If she's really my daughter, I'll bow and thank you." Before Jiang Fan responded, he ran towards Taikang State filled with excitement. Jiang Fan watched him go. His expression turned lonely again. He sat on a rock, staring into the distant sky, watched the clouds gather and disperse, watched the birds flying away, watched the last twilight of dusk disappear on the horizon. A sense of desolation welled up in his heart. As vast as the world may be, as large as the earth is, can it not accommodate me alone? Jiang Fan's lips twisted with profound bitterness. Noticing his mood, the little Killin emerged from the space mirror. It jumped onto his shoulder, extending its little claw to gently hold his face. Its furry face snuggled against Jiang Fan's neck. In the cool evening breeze, It offered Jiang Fan the only warmth. Jiang Fan patted its head, self-deprecatingly saying, "I truly am a self-deceiving liar. Often saying that I'm ready for death, but when I realize I will truly die, I cannot face it calmly. I somewhat understand why Wu Gu would betray his ideals and forsake his initial mission to protect the world. Because, in the face of death, those who aren't fully cultivated cannot face it. What people say about not fearing death is simply because they do not know death. Once the date of death is known, no one can remain composed. Even sages are like this, and so am I." Killen's black and white eyes were filled with tears. He rubbed his eyes, speaking with a thick nasal tone. "I don't want my master to die." Jiang Fan looked at it, wanting to cry but not daring to, his heart filled with guilt. His emotions had already impacted little Killen. In the future, they would also affect Yun Shang and the others. Since destiny was already decreed, why wallow in self-pity and let those around suffer together? What is meant to come will come, and will not be delayed by our fear and despair. Why not, in the final moments, leave a few beautiful sunsets and gentle spring breezes for them? He gradually swept away his melancholy, wiped the moisture from little Killen's eyes, and smiled. "Fool, your master isn't dead yet. Heavenly Mechanism Elder says, seize the moment for joy. Bodhisattva says to give life weight. Six-path masters say, do meaningful things. As for me, I say, to hear the way in the morning, one could die that evening. If one can accomplish everything desired before dying, there's nothing regrettable about death. So," standing up, he wore a genuine smile once again. "From now on, I will do what I wish to do. Guard the homeland that nurtured my growth. Love those who once loved me deeply. See the world I long to see." Little Killen wiped his tears, nodded emphatically. "I will accompany the master." Clap, 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 clap. Suddenly, the sound of applause rang out. Above them, the space distorted, and a pair of young boy and girl emerged. The girl wore a long red skirt, with the breeze gently swaying her hair and skirt. Her skin was very pale, her appearance beautiful with perfectly sculpted features. Yet she appeared a bit frail and sickly, leaning lightly on the boy next to her. The boy had red lips, white teeth, wore a jade crown with cascading long hair, strikingly handsome. The boy clapped and laughed. "To hear the way in the morning, one could die that evening. No wonder the Bodhisattva wanted to guide you into Buddhism. It seems my initial judgment wasn't wrong." Jiang Fan paused for a moment before recognizing them, almost dropping his jaw in shock. "Dharma Seal Vajra?" The young monk smiled lightly, ushering the girl down, saying, "Brother Jiang, it's been too long." Jiang Fan could hardly trust his eyes. Unexpectedly standing before him was that immensely devout young monk. After a while, he regained composure, saying, "Did you really leave the monastery?" Dharma Seal Vajra laughed, holding the girl's hand beside him, saying, "Leaving the monastery, is there anything fake about that?" Jiang Fan felt an unreal sensation. For someone like Dharma Seal Vajra, who was wholeheartedly devoted to Buddhism, to leave the monastic life for a woman. He couldn't help but look at the girl in the red skirt beside him. Her beauty was indeed stunning, giving a sense of awe. But it shouldn't warrant a Vajra, who had practiced Buddhist law for 18 years, suddenly abandoning monastic life. Could it be this female Asura used some secret technique to cloud Dharma Seal Vajra's Buddha heart? He couldn't help but ask, "Dharma Seal, is this the Asura remnant soul you encountered in the heavenly realm?" Dharma Seal Vajra nodded. "Her name is Yue, and she has already reshaped her body." Jiang Fan frowned. "Reshaped her body, what does that mean? Shouldn't it be possession?" After thinking, he asked, "Miss Yue, may I know which lineage of the Asura clan you belong to?" Yue glanced at Jiang Fan with eyes like crystal, then shifted her gaze without answering him. Dharma Seal Vajra mediates. "Yue doesn't like speaking to people, Brother Jiang, please don't blame her. I sensed the Bodhisattva's aura and originally came to lend a hand, but upon arrival, I witnessed Heavenly Mechanism Elder divining for you three. Unexpectedly, Brother Jiang would possess such a destiny." He grew solemn. Jiang Fan replied candidly, "Life and death are ordained, there's no need for concern. I only need to live without regrets. You can't return to Buddhism, what are your plans for the future?" Dharma Seal Vajra hugged Yue, chuckled lightly. "I want to accompany Yue across 9 states, observe the world, traverse the mountains and rivers, witness humanity." Jiang Fan suddenly felt envious. Dharma Seal can accompany his loved one, wandering the world doing everything he desires. But he was entangled in many affairs, unable to seize such opportunities. Even the remaining time in his life was difficult to leave to those he loves. He patted Dharma Seal on the shoulder, saying, "Go live freely for me. Dharma Seal Vajra said. "Brother Jiang, take care. Upon my return, let's fight the ancient giant side by side." Jiang Fan cupped his hands. "You too." As they bid farewell, Jiang Fan watched the pair depart. Only after they were out of sight did Jiang Fan retract his gaze, murmuring, "What an impressive female Asura to simultaneously shield Heavenly Mechanism Elder and Bodhisattva's perception." Since Dharma Seal witnessed Heavenly Mechanism Elder's divination, it indicates he was present at the time. Yet no one sensed his presence. Dharma Seal's abilities couldn't achieve this. Only likely it was that seemingly frail female Asura who concealed him. What kind of cultivation would this require? Thinking of this, he took out the Moon Realm and wrote with Hell language. "Give it a good name. Red Sleeves. Is there an Asura that makes one fall head over heels? Even monks would leave the monastery for them." Moments later, a message from the Moon Realm arrived. "Glasses, there is the Yume Asura lineage." Yume, like women in the human clan who practiced the charming skill, recalling Yue's pure and cold demeanor, he wrote again, "Give it a good name." But the other party doesn't seem charming, rather very innocent. After a moment of silence, Red Sleeves replied, "Glasses, are you certain the monk left the monastery because of her? Give it a good name." "Not certain, just conjecture." "Glasses, then you better pray she isn't from the Yume Asura lineage. This lineage of Asura is inherently charming, full of allure, but if cultivated to the Emperor Realm, they revert to simplicity, shedding their allure." Emperor Realm. Jiang Fan's pupils constricted. Could that Yue Asura be such a terrifying existence of this level? The Moon Realm sounded again. "Glasses, anything else? Give it a good name. Does the prison-suppressing soul scripture have any special use for your Asura clan?" "Glasses, haven't heard of it, seems like a good thing. If you don't want it, you can give it to me." Jiang Fan's mouth twitched slightly, silently closing the Moon Realm. Red Sleeves is always in the Heavenly Realm, Hell Realm's Buddha domain. She mostly wouldn't know. After deeply gazing towards Dharma Seal's direction, Jiang Fan mumbled, "Asura Emperor Huh? Shouldn't be, right?" On the horizon, Dharma Seal and Yue floated alongside the vast sea. Sea demons in the ocean unconsciously surfaced, gazing at Yue obsessively, unblinking. Yue gracefully looked back towards the direction of Jiang Fan. Her red lips lightly parted, her voice like silver bells, pleasant to hear, saying, "This man named Jiang Fan is indeed somewhat extraordinary." Dharma Seal said, "Indeed, when he met you, he didn't succumb to your invisible charm. He's the first since you arrived in Central Earth." Yue nodded slightly, then gently shook her head, saying, "I'm not talking about that." Enlightenment Dharma Seal asked in surprise, "Oh, which aspect are you referring to?" Yue replied, "The calmness of facing death head-on. In a short time, going from despair to calmly facing death is not easy to achieve. Many sages live for 1,000 years. And when faced with death, they may not be able to be calm. For example, me. With only a remnant soul left, I still want to cling to you to linger on." Dharma Seal laughed. "I have always said Brother Jiang is a person of great wisdom. One phrase, to hear the way in the morning makes it all right to die in the evening, makes me feel inferior. My cultivation is still far from enough. Let's go. Let's tour the 9 states and appreciate heaven and earth, the continent." Jiang Fan stepped on the familiar land, a thoughtful look in his eyes. "Since I've returned to the place where it all began, I should seek my own path. It would be best if I could break through to the divinity transformation realm before dying and slay a few giant kings for the Central Earth." He flew into the sky, closed his eyes, moving with the wind and clouds. His mind fell into deep thought. Master Xinnai said that one's path is on the road one has traveled, and the continent is the road I've traveled. I lived under others' roofs at the Su family for 10 years, married Su Yinning at 18, was abandoned by her, and then married Su Yoren. To marry her, I saved a betrothal gift, broke through my cultivation, dueled Wang Yingfeng, and fought Lu Zhang. Later, I entered the Green Cloud sect, where no one cared for someone with no spiritual root. It was Liu Qingxian and Gong Kei who looked after me, when Hang Yao and Zhao Wuji who favored me, and several supreme elders who saw my extraordinary nature and allowed me to integrate into the Green Cloud sect. Not long after, the Beast Tide attacked, and I executed the Green Cloud sect's tasks, traveling back and forth across the 9-sect land, winning honor for the Green Cloud sect. The Beast Tide erupted, the Boundary Mountain War suddenly broke out, sect disciples died tragically, Fu Keohun left with regret, and I fought to the death, chasing the Demon Moon. When the battle subsided, I met concubine Xianxia, later landed in the Demon Emperor court, and finally at the Tiger Demon Emperor mansion to save concubine Xianxia. I tested poison with my body, forming a good bond. Finally, to save Ling Shu, I fought the demon emperor. Luckily, the spirit sound priest intervened, and Ling Shu came back to life. Scenes emerged like yesterday, flooding his mind like tides. He slightly opened his eyes, a sense of clarity brewing in his heart. It seems I've always been protecting others. Protecting Su Yoren, protecting the Green Cloud Sect, protecting the Nine Sect land, protecting concubine Xianxia, protecting Ling Shu. Could it be that the path I've walked is the path of guardianship? The more he thought, the brighter it appeared before his eyes. An underlying sense of penetrating through layers of fog and touching the essence arose. The path of guardian. Protect those I love, protect those who love me, protect the mountains and rivers I love, protect the boundless human clan I admire. Protection is the road I've traveled. Jiang Fan murmured, feeling increasingly clear. The path that had confounded him for so long finally had a structure at this moment. The little Qilin seemed to notice something. A furry head peeked out from his arms, eyes bright with joy. "Master, have you finally found your path?" Jiang Fan nodded slightly. "It seems like it." "Seems," the little Qilin looked puzzled. Jiang Fan smiled and said, "Don't rush, I've just started to see a few clues. Let me further appreciate the path of guardian." He closed his eyes again, drifting with the wind. A day passed. The morning clouds and the evening glow caressed his cheeks, and light and darkness alternated, guarding him. 2 days passed. A torrential rain washed his body, with raindrops clinging affectionately to his hair and eyebrows. 3 days passed. The cloud sea cradled his body as if he was drifting freely and joyfully in an immortal palace. When a humid warmth wafted over, Jiang Fan finally opened his eyes sparkling, reflecting an enlightened understanding, and a hint of faint fervor and persistence. This is precisely a sign of pursuing a certain path to the extreme. I want to protect everything, not allowing others to destroy it. Protection is my path. At that moment, he found his path. Jiang Fan finally let go of the heart he had been holding on to. He looked up to the sky, unable to resist shouting, "I have found my path. Now, step into the atorifice nascent soul, go mad for protecting everything." He took out a spirit pill surrounded by thunderbolts. It was the 6th grade spirit pill given to him by Venerate Xinnai, capable of breaking through the late-stage nascent soul to a higher level, the sky-breaking pearl. Eagerly, he pressed the sky-breaking pearl to his lips. However, as he touched his lips, he did not swallow it. In his eyes, there was a hint of hesitation. The little Qilin watched Jiang Fan's actions and asked, "Master, what's wrong?" "Why stop?" Jiang Fan was silent for a moment and then said, "I don't know why, suddenly I'm a little hesitant. Clearly, I am very persistent about protecting everything, and I have indeed done so along the way. But when it comes to truly pursuing this path, I falter." He remembered what Venerate Xinnai had said. The path of God transformation is like a meteor streaking across the sky. Elevate oneself to the extreme, burn brightly, exhaust life, transforming into a brilliant light diving into the vast earth. Without madness, no demon is born. Would he truly go mad to protect something? If it were to protect Fairy Yunshang, True Word Venerable, or Gong Kei, perhaps he would. But to protect the people of the Central Earth, would he go mad? It seems not. He would only do his best to protect them, not necessarily go mad. Yet if his path is not the path of guardian, what is it then? For a moment he was unsure of how to choose. Should he force himself to practice the path of guardian, or seek another understanding? Suddenly, Jiang Fan recalled Bai Zin's words, "Return to where it all began and ask his heart." After a long silence, he put down the sky-breaking pearl from his lips. His heart's hesitation indicated that this was not his most persistent path. But if not the path of guardian, then what path could it be? At this moment, a warm and moist current breezed over again. He involuntarily looked down below. A lush, endless grassland lay in view. As the breeze blew, the grass bowed low, revealing small beasts grazing in the meadows. "Unexpectedly, I've drifted here." Jiang Fan chuckled in surprise. This place was the grassland Ling Shu always yearned for. She always longed to build a house here, chop wood, herd horses, watch the clouds roll by, and listen to the stars whisper in the silence. On the distant mountains, there was a grave he personally erected for her. He smiled warmly, soaring to the mountaintop. He saw the grave with no tombstone. The grave was overgrown with weeds and abandoned. The tombstone had been removed by Ling Shu, who preserved it carefully, having erased the tomb of inscribed on it. He recalled sitting in front of this grave, laden with sorrow and sadness, accompanying Ling Shu for a month. Later, Ling Shu revived, and he held her in his arms, the two tearfully recounting their hearts. Everything seemed like yesterday. Jiang Fan let out a gentle laugh, but as if remembering something, his smile suddenly froze. The little Qilin asked in surprise, "Master, what's wrong?" Jiang Fan immediately sat cross-legged in front of the grave, eyes showing an understanding, saying, "I think I know what my true path is." Qilin blinked and asked, "What is it?" Jiang Fan patted the grave beside him, his eyes revealing a trace of complexity. "I was once sad for Ling Shu, overwhelmed by sorrow and regret. But was it because of the deep affection between Ling Shu and me? It was not. At that time, our feelings were far from reaching such heart-wrenching depths. And the reason I was sad." Jiang Fan glanced down at the nascent soul within his dantian, feeling the faint pain emanating from it. His eyes held a deep understanding. "It was because I couldn't accept the passing of those around me. I was afraid of leaving behind eternal regrets. The effort to marry Su Yoren, the risking my body to test poison for fairy Yun Shang, the desperate battles in the nine-sect land against the demon race were all to avoid leaving regrets in life. I don't have the great heart like a saint to protect everything. Everything I did was actually for myself, to prevent my own regrets." His eyes grew increasingly bright, emitting a dazzling light. "Leaving no regrets, that is the path I have always walked. So when I chose the path of guardian, my heart hesitated, because that was not my path." At that moment, his heart was unprecedentedly light, as if the mist obscuring his heart had all cleared away. He took out the sky-breaking pearl again, a smile played on his lips. Without hesitation, he put it into his mouth and then gently swallowed, murmuring, "Come on, my path of perfection." As the sky-breaking pearl entered his body, Jiang Fan's long-tempered seven-orifice nascent soul cultivation broke through smoothly. The eighth acupoint finally opened. He had finally reached one of the realms most feared by those in the nascent soul realm. A torifice nascent soul. Jiang Fan didn't have time to feel the greatly enriched nascent soul power within. His heart was extremely restless. An uncontrollable madness spread in his heart. He was about to enter a state of madness. "Little Qilin, leave quickly, don't come near me for now." While his consciousness was still there, Jiang Fan hurriedly said. The little Qilin was worried and scared, then finally hugged Jiang Fan's head once before using instantaneous movement to run away. At this time, Jiang Fan's eyes were gradually turning red. The clarity in his eyes was replaced bit by madness. He slowly stood up, stumbled about aimlessly. At times looking at the sky, at times looking at the ground, murmuring intermittently. It is often said that life is unsatisfactory 9 times out of 10, like the moon often has deficiencies and rarely is full. But who decided this? Why can't everything be satisfactory? Why must life have regrets? Why must there be partings by life and death? My days are numbered, my life left only with a twilight glow. Why should I have so many concerns? I want everything to be satisfactory. I want no regrets for the rest of my life. If it is not perfect, I would rather destroy it. At that moment, he completely fell into madness. An indescribable aura of madness emanated from his body, spreading around. The spiritual sparse tomb with its broken tombstone exploded without warning, leveling the ground. The broken flowers around the tombstone all withered. Jiang Fan stepped onto the grassland. Where he walked, the withered grass turned into rotten mud. A herd of cattle and sheep were swept by the madness, running away in panic, except for one lame old bull that suddenly let out a tragic cry, its bones cracking inch by inch from the broken foot, then exploding into a cloud of blood. The white clouds flowing across the sky, so to speak, all flawed things are destroyed. In the depths of Jiang Fan's mind. The void ancient tree, the endless treetop, transmitted a hoarse voice. He actually walked the path of perfection. Life is long, how could it not leave a bit of regret? Even gods let out long sighs in the river of time. Beihua Valley, peach blossoms blooming, butterflies flitting. Under a peach tree, the spirit sound priest was holding a brush, her lips curving in a slight smile, writing. Suddenly, she sensed something and her smile vanished abruptly. The brush in her hand was slapped onto the table, spilling ink and soiling the writing she had painstakingly finished. That face, beyond joy or grief, surprisingly showed a hint of vitality. How could he walk the path of perfection? Perfection. Demon Moon killed so many humans at Boundary Mountain, that's the flaw in his heart. He will eventually kill Demon Moon, comfort the Boundary Mountain's dead spirits, and mend the regrets. Who taught him to walk this path? Her beautiful eyes changing, looking towards Jiang Fan's direction, both angry and helpless. Taikang State, Kinshin Bureau, the great wine sacrifice stood in the sky, overlooking the continent with his hands behind his back, his brow slightly furrowed. At the end of this path, one needs the means to reverse time. Whose life doesn't have regrets? If there really are regrets besides reversing time, how else can they be remedied? At this moment, a strong spatial fluctuation erupted from the island in the divine weapon state. Two bare-chested, dark-red-skinned burly men came carrying a giant sword as black as ink, measuring 1 zhang. By the order of the master, we bring the pre-ordered top-grade spirit sword for the great wine sacrifice. The great wine sacrifice retracted his gaze, landing on the black giant sword in front. His eyes were filled with brilliance. He marveled. No wonder your master made a prediction. It turns out the outer heaven meteorite was used to create a spiritual artifact. The original agreement was set for a month later, yet it came several days early. This was the first time the artifact refining expert had delayed. Master said perhaps this is the last time to forge a top-grade spirit sword, and as it was at the request of the great wine sacrifice, he used that mysterious meteorite to forge it. Master also said, this meteorite inherently possesses evil nature. Those who cannot control it better not use it, lest they suffer backlash. The great wine sacrifice nodded slightly. Indeed an evil sword. But that doesn't matter. A righteous person using evil techniques, even evil techniques become righteous. An evil person using righteous techniques, even righteous techniques become evil. A sword is merely a tool. Its nature depends on the user. The two placed down the black sword, bowed, and took their leave. The great wine sacrifice closed his eyes to sense the black sword, said, "It lacks an artifact spirit. This sword is full of evil nature. Only resentful spirits can withstand its might. Finding a qualified artifact spirit is not easy." Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion. Fairy Yunshang wiped her scented sweat, retracted her divine skills, and said, "Xiaoyan, today's spar ends here. Digest this well, it will aid your cultivation." Nangong Xiaoyan smiled sweetly. "Thank you, Sister Yunshang." Watching Fairy Yunshang leave, Nangong Xiaoyan's smile faded, replaced by a trace of guilt and complexity. Suddenly, as if sensing something, her eyes flashed and she hurried back to the secret chamber. After closing the stone door, she set up a sound insulation barrier. Only then did she cautiously take out a carved piece of wood from her bosom. It was clearly a rare soul-nourishing wood. A precious spirit wood that nurtures the soul. At this moment, a small soul, only the size of a fist, spiraled out from the wood. Upon a closer look, it was actually the soul of Chen Jing. Chen Jing tried to break free from the soul-nourishing wood, but golden runes emerged from the wood, firmly sticking him to it, difficult to escape. He shouted at Nangong Xiaoyan with a gloomy face. "Let me go." Nangong Xiaoyan's face showed complexity. "Brother, haven't you calmed down yet?" It turned out. After Chen Jing bit his tongue to commit suicide, his soul left his body, and he angrily wanted to rush into the secret room to stop Jiang Fan and the True Word Venerable's union. It was Nangong Xiaoyan who timely captured his soul and sealed and nurtured it in the soul-nourishing wood. Blood is thicker than water. After all, Chen Jing was her own brother. When Chen Jing was doing well, she hated his ruthlessness and selfishness. But when she saw Chen Jing not doing well, she felt sympathy. Thus, she collected his soul, preparing to find the right opportunity to let him possess and be reborn. Chen Jing pounded on the soul-nourishing wood, bitterly said, "Calm, how can you expect me to calm down? Jiang Fan slept with my woman, he slept with my woman. I will not coexist with him under the same sky. Let me out, didn't he sleep with my woman? Then I'll sleep with his woman too." He actually set his sights on Fairy Yunshang. Nangong Xiaoyan's face turned cold. "I saved you to let you reform, not to let you hurt Jiang Fan and the people around him again. Keep reflecting. When you realize your mistakes, I'll help you possess and be reborn." She angrily closed the lid of the soul-nourishing wood and continued to seal it. Chen Jing angrily said, "Ungrateful wretch, I am your brother, what is Jiang Fan to you? And yet you help him like this. Just wait, if I get out, I won't spare you either." Continent. Jiang Fan wandered aimlessly. Wherever he went, there was destruction. Unknowingly, he came before a mountain range. The mountain range was broken. That was caused when the nascent soul masters of Taikang State battled the ancient giant. Under the mountains, there is the burial place of the Red Demon Venerable. There are also underground caves of the Silver Fox tribe. At this time, a few young silver foxes with fluffy long tails were patrolling. "Xiaoya, I'm so envious of you. Sister Yunxia sent you so many resources personally. You're now a 6th level of core formation Great Demon. You can't be envious. Back then it was Xiaoya who brought Senior Jiang back underground, inadvertently bringing Sister Yunxia and Senior Jiang together in a cave mansion, forming a bond. Sister Yunxia remembers Xiaoya's good, so she takes extra care of her. Upon hearing this, a beautiful and delicate female demon fox hurriedly said, "Oh, don't speak carelessly. The clan leader instructed us to keep those events of that night confidential." After saying this, her crystal eyes slightly dimmed. There was some regret at the bottom of her heart. Why wasn't it her who formed a bond? Jiang Fan had saved her twice too. You could say there was fate between them. Unfortunately, thereafter there was no further contact. However, it's just a little regret. How could she compete with Xianxia? It was mentioning Jiang Fan that made her feel a slight regret. She suddenly smelled a hint of decay, looked up, and her expression changed. A man was walking towards them along the mountain range. Where he passed, the withered grass on the ground rotted one after another. Normal green grass remained unscathed. Recognizing the man's face, Xiaoya was startled. "Senior Jiang?" She was both surprised and delighted, disregarded the strangeness around Jiang Fan, and ran forward with small steps. Yet as she approached, she was invaded by an invisible madness. She froze, suddenly holding her chest, feeling extremely uncomfortable. It was the taste of heartache. Uncontrollably, she threw herself into Jiang Fan's embrace, her face covered in tears. "Senior Jiang, why did you choose Sister Xianxia and not me? If I can't be your woman in this life, I'd rather die." She pulled the hairpin from her head and without hesitation stabbed towards her temple at the critical moment. A long fox tail swept over, carrying Xiaoya away. Once she was far from Jiang Fan. Xiaoya awoke as if from a dream, looked at the hairpin in her hand, touched the tear stains on her face, completely bewildered. What happened to me?" By her side came the voice of the Silver Fox clan chief, Jiu Yinju, old and solemn. "You were infected by the madness of Jiang Shangren." Xiaoya was shocked. Senior Jiang has already stepped into the atorifious nascent soul. He was only at the second level of nascent soul when he left the continent. How long has it been? And he already reached atorifious nascent soul. Jiu Yinju's face showed complexity, with both relief and concern. Relief because Xianxia married a prodigious genius. Concern because Jiang Fan's madness was truly terrifying. Not only did it have the power of destruction over incomplete things in reality, but also had the terrifying capacity to infinitely amplify the flaws on a consciousness level, breaking one's heart spirit. If a person's heart was pure, flawless, it would be all right. His madness had no impact on such people. But once there were flaws in the heart, the consequences were simply disastrous. Watching Jiang Fan still approaching, Jiu Yinju's face changed. He raised his voice and called out, "Jiang Shangren?" The frenzied Jiang Fan seemed to have some sense. The scar on his face subtly twitched, triggering pain. Jiang Fan abruptly came to his senses, an unseen madness like a tide receding returned to his body from all directions. He looked around blankly, surprised. Wasn't he breaking through the atorifious nascent soul in front of Ling Shu's grave? How did he end up at the Silver Fox tribe? Instantly, his expression tensed. He quickly inspected them and said, "I didn't harm you, did I?" Jiu Yinju slightly breathed a sigh of relief, kept a distance, and cupped his hands cautiously. "Jiang Shangren, you should hurry back to the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion and seal yourself up. Your madness is truly dangerous. Just now, Xiaoya almost committed suicide." Jiang Fan looked at Xiaoya's tear-stained face, a chill in his heart. The madness only just formed as he entered atorifious nascent soul, leading someone to self-destruct. If cultivated deeper, wouldn't it kill invisibly? This was more dangerous than mere homicidal madness, because homicidal madness might target one person. His madness would indiscriminately affect many people. He quickly retreated, maintaining distance from them, and said, "Sorry, I just broke through and haven't prepared the shackles to bind myself. I'll take my leave." He feared also he would go mad again, affecting innocent people. However, he suddenly remembered something and said, "By the way, have the tribes near the Demon Emperor Court been evacuated?" The Demon Emperor Court was located in the frozen land, and many tribes were coerced by the Sky Demon Emperor to reside there. Before leaving the continent, Jiang Fan had disbanded the tribes, letting them live comfortably in other places. Jiu Yinju nodded. "Except for Beihua Valley, there are not many people left." Jiang Fan's gaze flashed. What he wanted to ask about was Beihua Valley. "Spirit Sound Priest, how much do you know?" As an elder of the demon race, Jiu Yinju should know more or less, right? Jiu Yinju's eyes held apprehension. He said, "I only know two things about her. First, her appearance has never changed." Jiang Fan pondered. This shouldn't be too unusual. See, demon clan females also had the ability to maintain their looks. But Jiu Yinju's next words truly astonished him. "This was told to me by my grandmother when I was young." Jiang Fan's pupils were trembling incessantly. If Jiu Yinju's grandmother also met spirit sound when she was young, wouldn't that add up to 200 years? Even if the lifespan of the divinity transformation realm is long, with 800 years, the appearance will eventually age as time goes by. Jiu Yinju continued, "The second thing is, no one knows what she's thinking." Jiang Fan deeply agreed with this. For instance, she sent the soul-nourishing pill to Xianxia in advance, and as a result, shortly after, due to the soul-nourishing pill, Jiang Fan and Xianxia ended up together. Or like Ling Shu, she gave her a cup of spiritual tea in advance, and later, after her fake death, it caused the scar on Jiang Fan's nascent soul. Now, through a letter, Jiang Fan learned that his death was imminent. What is her intention? It seems necessary to meet Spirit Sound to inquire about the doubts in his heart. "Thank you for informing me. Is there anything the demon race needs help with recently?" Jiang Fan asked. Jiu Yinju said, "Yunshang has already sent many resources, so there's no need for the time being." Jiang Fan felt a warm sensation in his heart. During the days he was busy outside, Yunshang took care of the heavenly mechanism pavilion and the demon race very well, saving him a lot of trouble. Meeting Yunshang was his good fortune. He cupped his hands and said, "In 1 month, the ancient giant will descend. I will arrange for some of the Usura clan to guard the continent and resist the ancient giant. At that time, you just need to focus on staying alive. The main battlefield will still be concentrated in Taikang State. The giant kings should not come to the continent. We only need to guard against the ancient giants." Jiu Yinju showed gratitude on his face. Such matters are beyond what Fairy Yunshang can manage. Only Jiang Fan could accomplish this. "Thank you, Jiang Shangren." Jiang Fan nodded slightly, tapped his toes, and flew back to the mountaintop. Before the cracked grave soil, a little Qilin hid in front of a small mound, sticking out half of its little head, warily watching him. Jiang Fan chuckled. "It's already awake, come here." The little Qilin's eyes lit up, smiling as it used spatial teleportation to return to his shoulder. "Master, do you want me to make a binding device for you too? If you go crazy, I'll activate the device and knock you out." Jiang Fan's smiling face stiffened, recalling the scene where Song Lingyu went mad and the device knocked her unconscious with one blow. His face turned slightly blue as he said, "Let's forget about it. Let's ask Spirit Sound if there's another way." The scar on his abdomen's nascent soul was facilitated by Spirit Sound, so there might be a method to control his madness that Spirit Sound knows. Not long after, in front of Beihua Valley, Jiang Fan did not rush inside but took down the heavenly thunder stone and the 3 swords on his back, along with the space mirror and other items. He only kept half of a soul awakening divine nail in his bosom. "Stay outside, don't go in," Jiang Fan instructed. Spirit Sound once said she could save him 3 times. When in trouble, come to Beihua Valley. As a price, each time she helps, she will take something from Jiang Fan. The death of the Thunder Wing middle-aged, he suspected a bit that it was the doing of Spirit Sound. What if she wants to take something from him? The other things are whatever. But if the Black Buddha scripture, top-grade spirit sword, execution pen, ancient token, and other treasures are taken, Jiang Fan would have no place to cry. So he only kept half of the soul awakening divine nail. First, to test if Spirit Sound is actually the owner of those terrifying golden eyes. Second, even if she is, his loss wouldn't be too heavy. Having prepared, he stepped into Beihua Valley. This not-so-big valley still sang with birds and bloomed with flowers, vibrant with life. All over the valley were pink peach blossoms, romantic and brilliant. In the trickling stream, fishes swam freely, and little spirit beasts ran happily. Under a small hill, Jiang Fan saw Spirit Sound. She sat in a pavilion, holding a pair of scissors, trimming a bonsai. A long moon-white dress, her black hair flowed like a waterfall, an elegant silhouette. At first glance, she seemed like a fairy fallen into the corner of the world, untouched by worldly affairs. Jiang Fan took a deep breath and stepped in front of the pavilion, cupping his hands. "Greetings, Spirit Sound Priest." Spirit Sound continued trimming the potted plants, ignoring him. Jiang Fan looked over. Spirit Sound's profile came into view. Although he had seen her many times this time, he still couldn't help but feel his heart racing. Her beauty is not of this world, illusory and unreal. Jiang Fan shifted his gaze, calming the ripples in his heart, and said, "Spirit Sound Priest, I have completed your task and delivered the letter to the heavenly mechanism elder." Spirit Sound acted as if she hadn't heard, treating him like air. Feeling something was off, Jiang Fan touched his nose uncertainly and asked, "Are you mad at me?" Only then did Spirit Sound stop her actions, gently looked at him with her peerless face. Her voice ethereal and dreamy, she said, Is there something you want from me? This tone, was she really mad at him? Jiang Fan was a bit dumbfounded. What did he do to make Spirit Sound upset? As he recalled, Spirit Sound had always been calm, without joy or sorrow, slightly better than Bai Xin, who sealed her emotions. What happened today? Having not seen each other for so long, to meet and she's angry. Women are indeed hard to understand. Jiang Fan said, I mainly wanted to inform you that the task is completed. By the way, I wanted to ask if there's a way to quickly wake oneself from madness. Picking up the scissors again, Spirit Sound trimmed the pots and said indifferently, just apply some blood of the sage. Blood. Blood of the sage? Jiang Fan clicked his tongue. He would rather honestly carry the burden. Where could he possibly obtain the blood of the sage? The only two sages he knew, one went to an unknown place, and the other was the Usura saint's son who wanted his life. Where would he get the blood of the sage from? Let's pretend I didn't ask, Jiang Fan said sheepishly. Upon further thought, if waking from madness were that easy, the nascent souls of 8 or 9 acupoints from the 3 god sect and 7 great sects wouldn't suffer being confined in the madhouse. Seems like he was overthinking it. Jiang Fan thought for a moment and continued, May I be bold to ask Spirit Sound Priest, what realm are you in? With a snap. Spirit Sound gave a forceful snip, cutting a long, thick black root, and said expressionlessly, I could take care of you without any trouble. Jiang Fan instinctively tightened his legs and took a step back cautiously. Spirit Sound today definitely swallowed gunpowder. Better come back another day. He was a bit intimidated. Since Spirit Sound Priest is busy, I'll take my leave for now. Having spoken, he dared not inquire further, quickly turned and left. Watching him scamper away cautiously, Spirit Sound couldn't help but laugh softly. Feeling somewhat better, she said, Since you've embarked on the path of perfection, there's only one thing you need to do now. That is, to mend the flaws. Think about what regrets you have in this life. If they can be mended, mend them. If not, we'll see. Only in this way can you awaken from the 9 aperture nascent soul and transform into divinity. Jiang Fan had an epiphany. As he suspected, to wake from madness, one must align with their path. Just like Shu Bu Su, his path of theft required a grand theft to possibly awaken and transform. He cupped his hands and said, Thank you, Spirit Sound Priest, for your guidance. Goodbye. He hurriedly left. Arriving outside Beihua Valley, he reached into his bosom and took out half of the soul-awakening divine nail. Things weren't taken. Then the person who saved me wasn't Spirit Sound Priest. Did I overthink it? After contemplating for a long time, he shook his head, thinking too much wouldn't help. It would be better to deal with more important matters. What Jiang Fan didn't know was, in the pavilion, Spirit Sound held a green, mysteriously atmospheric leaf between 2 fingers. She said with interest, Is this the legendary leaf of the void divine tree? Spirit Sound gently raised a slender hand, and a jug of wine appeared in front of her. She placed a leaf into the wine. The leaf dissolved upon contact with the wine, transforming into countless emerald green rays that integrated into the wine, instantly infusing it with pure laws. Spirit Sound smiled faintly. A single leaf contains countless laws as expected of the void divine tree. Next time I'll try refining a sword with a branch. Spirit Beast Sect Master Hall at the entrance. An elderly woman in a red dress and green clothes, heavily made up along with several gifts, was thrown out. Inside the hall, Gong Kei's angry voice was heard. Pass down the order henceforth. Anyone proposing marriage is forbidden from entering the Spirit Beast Sect. The matchmaker at the door turned pale, whispering to herself. Still thinks she's Jiang Fan's woman, holding herself so high? She's over 30, having someone willing to marry her is already fortunate. Inside the hall, Gong Kei heard this, angrily patting the table, and shouted, Escort her out of the Spirit Beast Sect. Beside her, Yuan Jiu hurriedly comforted her. Master, don't be angry. Arguing with a matchmaker isn't fitting of your status. Gong Kei, fuming, said, Am I mad at her? I'm mad at? She hesitated, unable to find a place to vent her anger. Yuan Jiu understood inwardly. Her master was upset because everyone on the continent's 8 sects believed she was abandoned by Jiang Fan. Since Jiang Fan's other women went with him to the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion. And each one is thriving, at the very least, a great cultivator of the nascent soul realm. Only Gong Kei was left by Jiang Fan to fend for herself on the continent. Only Gong Kei and Yuan Jiu knew the truth, but how could they explain to outsiders? Especially since Gong Kei had a marital relationship with Jiang Fan, which was even more difficult to tell outsiders. Yuan Jiu's eyes turned. She said, Master, why not go to Taikang State? That way you can silence the gossip. Otherwise, the marriage proposals will keep coming. The matchmaker wasn't the first to propose marriage. Ever since Gong Kei came back, there had been people directly or indirectly wanting to become her Dao companion. The reason was simple. Gong Kei, although discarded by Jiang Fan, was once Jiang Fan's woman. She still carried precious resources left by Jiang Fan. Marrying her would benefit one's martial path future. Upon hearing this, Gong Kei was also irritated. She lightly tapped the table, saying, "Jiang Fan, I blame you for all this." Taking several deep breaths, she calmed down, saying, "I will not go to taking state. As for the marriage proposals, if you can stop them, do so. If not, it's okay. Anyway, there's only a month left until the ancient giants arrive. Even if they cause trouble, it's only for this month." Seeing her master's firm attitude, Yuan Jiu despondently sighed, saying, "Master, I was hoping you could take me to Taikang State, too." Everyone who followed Jiang Fan to the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion has advanced to the nascent soul realm. This is an immense opportunity. She often dreams of going to the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion, waking up with a smile, yet her master is obstinate, refusing to seek out Jiang Fan. Gong Kei glanced at her. "Even Taikang State heard your schemes." Yuan Jiu stuck out her tongue, saying, "I'm also thinking about my master's lifelong happiness." Just as she was speaking, a newly recruited female disciple came to report, "Sect Master, there's a young man outside who wishes to see the Sect Master." She said, "She's here to find a bride." Gong Kei's just calmed heart grew restless again, but she glanced down at her abdomen, forcing herself to calm. With a cold expression, she said, "Go pick a sow to give to him. That's the bride he's looking for." How ridiculous. Searching for a bride at her spirit beast sect. "Are you sure my bride is a pig?" Suddenly a playful chuckle drifted in from outside the hall. Gong Kei stood up abruptly. That voice was. Under her watchful gaze, a young man in black walked in, smiling broadly. Gong Kei's pupils contracted, heart pounding, her mind going blank. She was mentally prepared for Jiang Fan to seek her out. But facing him in the moment, her heart uncontrollably raced, overwhelmed with panic. Like a maiden in the budding love, filled with tender shyness. "Senior Jiang!" Beside her, Yuan Jiu leaped up with joy. An immense opportunity has arrived. She's even more excited than Gong Kei, fumbling. "Senior Jiang, you needn't say anything. I promise my master agrees to your proposal. I'll help my master pack now, ensuring you're back to Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion's bridal chamber by nightfall." Gong Kei's cheeks reddened. She scolded, "Out. All of you out?" Yuan Jiu clutched at her sleeve, pleading, "Master, be sure to speak nicely. Whatever Senior Jiang asks, you must do. Please don't be stubborn. My future depends entirely on you, Master." With that, she hurriedly led the new female disciple away. "Senior sister, is that young man the legendary Jiang Fan, Senior Jiang?" The female disciple asked, astonished. Yuan Jiu nodded. "You're quite lucky just joining our spirit beast sect, seeing Senior Jiang. Now he's a celebrated late-stage nascent soul great cultivator in Taikang State. A dragon rarely seen. Only those with profound opportunities can glimpse his true face. You're fated for great achievements in the future." The female disciple proudly stuck out her chest, saying, "I've seen Senior Jiang myself. Anyone marrying me must double the betrothal gifts." Inside the hall, Gong Kei lightly pursed her rosy lips, her gaze evasive, daring not to meet Jiang Fan's eyes, playfully said, "Why have you come back? Wasn't I clear enough before?" Jiang Fan smiled as he ascended the steps, stopping before her. Gong Kei kept retreating, softly saying, Don't come over." She retreated until she stumbled against the sect master's jade chair, sitting suddenly in it. She wanted to stand, but Jiang Fan leaned down, hands resting on the chair's back. Smiling closely at Gong Kei, the two were merely a foot apart, able to hear each other's breath. Gong Kei couldn't rise, had nowhere to hide. She gently pushed against Jiang Fan's chest, saying, "Please don't do this." Jiang Fan remained unmoved, his smile widening, saying, "You weren't this shy when you offered yourself to me." Hearing this, Gong Kei's face grew even redder, ashamed and anxious, saying, "Please don't bring it up again. It's all in the past. You're the Chief Deputy Pavilion Master of the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion. I'm the Spirit Beast Sect Master. We no longer have any ties." Jiang Fan laughed, holding her small hands, saying, "How do you know I'm the Chief Deputy Pavilion Master of the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion? You say we're not related, yet you've been keeping track of me, haven't you?" He laughed heartily, pulled Gong Kei up, sat in the jade chair, and drew her into his embrace. One hand effortlessly ventured into her bosom. Jiang Fan's hand and anxiously looked toward the wide-open doors of the main hall, whispering urgently, "Don't be reckless. The door is still open." Jiang Fan withdrew his hand and waved lightly toward the doors of the hall. With a rumbling sound, the giant doors closed, and the light inside the hall dimmed suddenly. "The door is closed now. Can we continue?" Jiang Fan asked with a smile. Gong Kei blushed furiously, struggling to stand up from Jiang Fan's embrace, saying, "That's not what I meant. Jiang Fan, we can't continue like this." But Jiang Fan ignored her, reaching into her collar and grasping a true white. Maybe it was because he knew his end was near, his mindset had changed. He no longer restrained his desires as he used to. He became more carefree. "Ah!" Gong Kei let out a small cry, hurriedly holding Jiang Fan's hand. She hadn't anticipated that Jiang Fan would become so bold. Her eyes were filled with humiliation, almost bursting into tears as she pleaded, "Jiang Fan, if you respect me, please don't do this." Jiang Fan gently withdrew his hand but still held her in his embrace, softly saying, "Return to my side and accompany me a bit longer. I don't want you to be my eternal regret." Since he began his cultivation, his greatest regret was undoubtedly Gong Kei's departure. Gong Kei had given her most precious purity to Jiang Fan, then stayed alone on the continent. Others enjoyed the top-level resources by his side. Only she, who once gave Jiang Fan tenderness, guarded the barren continent alone. Hearing Jiang Fan's gentle words, Gong Kei stopped struggling. She quietly sat in his embrace, her eyes dim as she said, "You've already become a late-stage nascent soul great cultivator, and I'm a core formation realm. The difference between us is as vast as the heavenly abyss. There won't be a future." Jiang Fan held her hand, asking, "When I was merely in the initial period of foundation establishment realm, and you were one of the 9 sect masters, why didn't you look down on me then?" Gong Kei shook her head, saying, "That was different. I was the elder, and you were the junior. It's natural for elders to take care of juniors, isn't it?" Jiang Fan laughed. "It's natural for elders to take care of juniors, but isn't it more rightful for a man to take care of his woman?" This statement left Gong Kei speechless, momentarily at a loss for words. Then Jiang Fan continued, "I know what you're worried about. Worrying that you can't keep up with my cultivation and would become a burden, right?" Gong Kei hesitated, then nodded. She hadn't expected Jiang Fan to already understand the real reason behind her departure. "Now that you understand, give up on me. I won't allow myself to become your burden. Even if you forcibly keep me by your side, you can't alleviate the heaviness in my heart." Jiang Fan sighed slightly. People who are too kind always find reasons in themselves, bearing the pain alone. There's only one solution for this. It's to make Gong Kei feel her value. He gently caressed Gong Kei's hand, saying, "Actually, I have another purpose for coming. I need you to help me with something." Gong Kei looked surprised. "What could someone like you, a nascent soul realm cultivator, need help with from someone at core formation realm like me? Are you trying to coax me, making me feel important?" A hint of self-deprecation appeared at her lips. "Jiang Fan, don't waste your time and energy on me. I'm no longer worthy." Jiang Fan looked at her quietly, saying, "I've achieved 8 apertures nascent soul." Oh, Gong Kei nodded lightly, unsurprised. With Jiang Fan's talent, he would eventually reach 8 apertures nascent soul. "Wait, 8 apertures nascent soul?" Gong Kei turned her head, looking at Jiang Fan in surprise. "Then you might go insane at any moment?" Jiang Fan nodded. "I only occasionally go mad now, but once I reach 9 aperture nascent soul, I'll completely go insane. I don't know if there will ever be a day I wake up." Hearing this, Gong Kei's face was full of worry. She'd heard of the dangers of 9 aperture nascent soul. Once insanity sets in, very few ever wake up from it. Her heart felt heavy, saying, "Then don't continue breaking through, just stay at 8 apertures nascent soul realm." Jiang Fan replied, "The ancient giants are coming, they are bound to seek revenge against me. With only 8 apertures nascent soul, it's hard to survive." Gong Kei felt like her heart was being squeezed, making it hard to breathe. The resolve to forget Jiang Fan in the world was replaced by unwillingness, saying, "Then what should be done? Did any elders provide a solution?" Jiang Fan nodded, "Yes. A prominent elder once told me the path I cultivate is one without flaws, and the fewer regrets, the more likely I can awaken from insanity. And you are my greatest regret." Gong Kei was enlightened. It turned out waking from insanity was related to the path cultivated. Upon hearing the last sentence, she wasn't sure whether to feel joy or bitterness. The joy was that she was so important in Jiang Fan's heart. Her departure was his greatest regret. The bitterness was that she had no choice. If she wanted to prevent Jiang Fan from falling irretrievably into madness, she could only obediently return to Jiang Fan's side. This was contrary to the determined words she'd spoken before. Am I truly your greatest regret? Gong Kei bit her red lip slightly. Jiang Fan raised 2 fingers to the sky, saying, I swear to the heavens. Gong Kei hurriedly pressed his hand, saying, Don't make rash vows, I believe you. Looking at Jiang Fan for a moment, she finally chose to surrender. Her tense body relaxed, resting her head on Jiang Fan's shoulder and playfully hit his chest with her fist. You little rascal, in this lifetime I've fallen into your hands. Jiang Fan felt joy in his heart, saying, Are you willing to return to my side? Gong Kei nestled into his embrace, softly saying, As long as I can help you, I'll do anything. Jiang Fan was both joyful and moved. It seemed like he was seeing the gentle sect master Gong he remembered. He lowered his head and kissed Gong Kei's forehead, his emotions leading him to hold both true whites. Gong Kei no longer resisted, blushing and closing her eyes, leaving herself to Jiang Fan. As long as he was happy, that was enough, until Jiang Fan attempted to untie the ribbon at her waist. She suddenly opened her eyes, blocking Jiang Fan's hand, protecting her lower abdomen. The mood was interrupted. Jiang Fan asked, surprised, What's wrong? Is today inconvenient? Gong Kei smiled bitterly. It wasn't just today that's inconvenient. It's inconvenient for the entire upcoming 10 months. She pondered for a while and ultimately decided not to tell Jiang Fan just yet. The issue with the ancient giants was already enough for him to worry about. If he also knew she was pregnant with his child, it would only add to his troubles. Let's wait until the battle with the ancient giants ends, then give him a surprise. You came at an unlucky time. Gong Kei lied. Jiang Fan felt a sense of disappointment, saying, I'm sorry I wasn't considered enough. Seeing Jiang Fan's disappointed expression, Gong Kei bit her red lip gently and rose from Jiang Fan's embrace. Then she knelt in front of him. Jiang Fan was taken aback. Kei, what are you doing? He reached out to lift Gong Kei up, but Gong Kei flushed red, saying, Sit still, don't move. As she spoke, she gently gathered her long hair. Then she bent over, lowered her head. 2 hours later. Gong Kei's robe was slightly open. A strand of drooping hair was wet, sticking to her slightly flushed cheek. She took a few breaths, picked up the teacup, and rinsed her mouth. Only then did she realize her mouth was numb, and she couldn't help but complain playfully. Satisfied now? After tasting a bit of sweetness, Jiang Fan couldn't stop, becoming relentless. She was inconvenient, yet Jiang Fan treated her this way. Can't really imagine what kind of life Fairy Yunshang lives. Jiang Fan sat cross-legged on a chair, hands together in prayer with a serene expression, a relieved smile on his lips, saying, I have enlightened. Gong Kei burst into laughter, hit his arm, and said, Before act lustful like a demon, after act holy like a Buddha. Really should invite monks from the White Horse Temple to guide you into Buddhism. Jiang Fan couldn't help but laugh, pulling her into his embrace, skillfully holding one true white, and said, Poor you, when we return to the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion and you're convenient, I'll compensate you properly. Gong Kei's face reddened. This guy still won't stop. She lightly poked Jiang Fan's forehead, hesitated to speak. After a moment of silence, she said, Jiang Fan, I've decided not to return to the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion with you. Jiang Fan was surprised. You've changed your mind. Gong Kei said seriously, If I changed my mind, I wouldn't be treating you this way. I just don't want to go to the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion. If you miss me, you can come find me anytime. My door is always open for you. Jiang Fan furrowed his brow. So the heart returns, but the person doesn't. Kei, do you have some unspeakable secrets you're hiding from me? Jiang Fan vaguely sensed something was off. Why is Gong Kei insistent on staying on the continent? Obviously, being by his side would be better. Gong Kei quietly glanced at her own abdomen. If she returned to the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion, her changes definitely couldn't be hidden from others, especially Fairy Yunshang. So she wanted to stay on the continent, and if the ancient giant ended, then it would be a surprise to tell Jiang Fan. If it continued, she'd stay on the continent and have the child alone. Gazing at Jiang Fan's tightly furrowed brow, she hooked both arms around his neck, snuggling into his embrace, saying, Can I not tell? Jiang Fan looked at her suspiciously. You wouldn't be unwilling to part with those proposing to you, would you? Jiang Fan had seen the matchmaker being chased out. The conversation between Gong Kei and Yuan Jiu in the hall he had also heard. Gong Kei was stunned for a moment, then burst into laughter. You're actually jealous. She wasn't angry, instead she was filled with joy. Jiang Fan truly cared about her. Jiang Fan said with a hint of exasperation, Give me a reason why you must stay. Gong Kei kissed his cheek with a smack, affectionately said, Silly, I used to ignore all the men of the Nine Sect, alone for 30 years. Now, as your woman, how could I possibly fancy them instead? Jiang Fan's brow slightly relaxed. That's true, if Gong Kei truly wanted a man, she wouldn't still be single at 30. Gong Kei continued, I originally planned never to marry for life. Unexpectedly, I met you even braver than Yue Mingzhu. I proactively offered myself to you. I somewhat understand why someone like concubine Xianxia would carry on with you secretly behind Sky Demon Emperor. Because liking someone deeply truly makes one forsake self, disregarding any limits. Saying this, she pursed her red lips, face full of bashfulness. Jiang Fan's doubts in his heart also dissipated, gently embracing her. Yes, a conservative person like Gong Kei offering herself proactively, isn't that enough to explain everything? After contemplating for a long time, he sighed helplessly. All right, I won't ask for your reason to stay on the continent. But being separated by distance isn't good. I only agree you stay on the continent for half a year. Gong Kei didn't hesitate to nod, also choosing to concede a little. All right. Jiang Fan felt relaxed, a regret turned into perfection. After thinking for a moment, Jiang Fan took out a sword box and placed it in Gong Kei's arms. What's this? Gong Kei was curious and wanted to open it. Jiang Fan held the sword box down and said, This is the Ruyi sword box. It contains a powerful sword intent sealed. When nurtured enough, its power equals a 9-aperture nascent soul strike. Keep it until a crucial moment to open it. 9-aperture nascent soul strike? Gong Kei was startled and quickly withdrew her hand, saying, Why give it to me? Keep it for your own safety. Jiang Fan said, With my current strength, this sword intent won't serve much purpose. Leaving it for you is more than capable to handle any ancient giant below the Giant King. Saying this, Jiang Fan took out another jade talisman, precisely the divinity transformation strike jade talisman from Venerate Zinni's space storage ring. You hold onto this jade talisman too. If encountering enemy's sword intent can't resolve, use it. Without sensing, Gong Kei could guess the jade talisman was even more precious than the sword intent. Her eyes showed deep gratitude. With sky-reaching marrow, sword intent, and mysterious jade talisman, Jiang Fan left the best things for her. She cradled Jiang Fan's face, speaking softly, Thank you, husband, meeting you is heaven's gift to me. Jiang Fan laughed and held her true whites from behind, laughing. How will you thank me? Gong Kei's face reddened, playfully complaining, You're even more foolish than any foolish emperor. She said this, then slid off Jiang Fan's body, kneeling before him. Then she bent over, bowing her head. 2 hours later. Jiang Fan exhaled deeply, refreshed. I've enlightened again. Gong Kei wiped her lips, amused and exasperated, said, Then if you stay a few more days, wouldn't you suddenly become a Buddha? She merely said this, knowing full well that Jiang Fan was too busy to stay. Unexpectedly, Jiang Fan agreed swiftly, laughing, All right. But I want to enlighten 3 times a day, no, 5 times, still not enough. 10 times it must be. Gong Kei embraced his arm, delightedly saying, All right, as long as you're willing to stay, you can enlighten as many times as you wish. She could hardly believe Jiang Fan would stay for her. Jiang Fan held her waist, laughing, In life, enjoy to the fullest, don't let the golden goblet face the moon in vain. In the future, if I can be with you, I'll stay with you more. Amid her joy, Gong Kei felt a trace of surprise in her heart. Not sure if it was an illusion, Jiang Fan seemed to have changed somewhat, seemed to be acting more spontaneously, also seemed to cherish the opportunity to be with her more. But that's good, she put away her surprise. Involuntarily thinking of Yue Mingzhu, equally lacking companionship, lonely and confused, she said, Husband, you should also take care of Sect Master Yu. She's actually like me, also feeling down for being a burden. It's just she's cheerful by nature, not showing it. Jiang Fan put away his smile, seriously nodded. I'll go to the Desires Sect to find her, give her some explanation. What? Gong Kei sat up suddenly, surprised. Sect Master Yu hasn't returned to the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion. Fan questioned, Isn't she at Desires Sect? He had always thought that Yue Mingzhu didn't return after coming to the continent, influenced by Gong Kei, and had returned to her sect. Gong Kei quickly said, After she delivered the sky-reaching marrow and resources, she said she would first visit Desires Sect, then go to your starting place. From what she said, she was just going to relax, not stay at Desires Sect. Jiang Fan's expression finally changed. Could she have encountered some mishap? He was about to head to Desires Sect, but hesitated when looking at Gong Kei before him. He had just promised to stay and accompany her for a few days. Now he was about to leave again. Gong Kei urged, Why are you standing there? Go find her quickly. If something happens to her, you'll never be at peace and it will become a constant regret for you. Jiang Fan apologized. I'll make it up to you later. In urgent haste, he couldn't think much and left swiftly. Gong Kei watched him disappear from sight. Only then did she retrieve the sky-reaching marrow from her space storage device, her eyes showing tenderness. I intended to forget each other in the world, but my heart softened and I was deceived back. So I'll use your intention to enhance my strength, so you worry less about me. Thus, she drank the sky-reaching marrow, immediately beginning a nascent soul breakthrough. Desire's sect. The entire sect's supreme elder, elders, and disciples gathered in the square. Under everyone's focus, a peerless beauty in a peach-pink palace attire was fiercely competing with the chief disciple Zai Liushu. With the clash of long swords, Zai Liushu was flung off the platform. Wiping the blood from the corner of his mouth, he smiled bitterly. I lost. Gazing at the beauty on stage, he sighed. As the saying goes, after 3 days of separation, one should look at someone with fresh eyes. Junior sister Jai, I must gouge out my eyes to see you now. The disciples and elders below the stage were also amazed. Who could believe that the Jai Ryu, who was once in the Foundation establishment realm, had now reached mid-stage core formation, and had surpassed chief disciple Zai Liushu to become the top of Desire's sect. The presiding great elder came forward, comforting Zai Liushu. You are quite exceptional too. After the Boundary Mountain tempering, you've changed significantly. But you just don't have Jai Ryu's fortune. She facilitated the chance between the sect master and Jiang Shangren. So the sect master has always taken special care of her, with resources constantly being sent from Taikang State. If you could defeat her, that would be surprising. Back then, it was Jai Ryu who revealed the nascent Soul Cave Mansion news at the bottom of Snow Mountain Cliff to Jiang Fan. Only then did Jiang Fan meet the seriously injured and dying Yue Mingzhu under Snow Mountain. That nascent Soul Cave Mansion became the place where they got acquainted. Because of this, Yue Mingzhu has always been particularly attentive to Jai Ryu. The resources sent back to the sect surely included a portion prepared just for Jai Ryu. Thus, her cultivation advanced by leaps and bounds. Comforting didn't help, Zai Liushu felt even worse. Because when Jai Ryu disclosed the nascent Soul Cave Mansion news, he was right there. It's fate! Zai Liushu smiled bitterly without choice. Elder Ling then came onto the stage, laughing. Congratulations, Jai Ryu, for winning successfully. Since that's the case, the position of the 10th Elder of Desire's sect will be yours. In the battle at Boundary Mountain, Desire's sect's elders faced heavy casualties. The vacant elder positions were gradually chosen from deacons and disciples. Jai Ryu surpassed the entire sect, undeniably becoming the 10th Elder. Elder Ling took out a token and a set of elders' robes. Jai Ryu only accepted the token and said, No need for clothes, what I'm wearing is fine. Elder Ling looked at Jai Ryu's peach-pink round-neck palace attire, elegant and fitting perfectly. It didn't match Desire's sect's cool attire at all. She was somewhat puzzled, asked, Why do you always wear similar clothes? Jai Ryu smiled calmly, Because Senior Jiang said this outfit looks nice and suits me. Elder Ling understood, yet another foolish woman with unrequited feelings. She comforted, Ryu, look forward. Don't let someone who took your breath away when you were young delay your life. This person is someone you can hardly encounter again in your life. Currently, Jiang Fan is someone whose influence is sky-high even in Taikang State. He's in high heavens, residing among clouds. He's no longer the youth Jai Ryu could meet again. Jai Ryu's eyes dimmed. Thank you, Elder Ling, for the guidance. In fact, she wasn't hoping for anything, just wanting to hear that person's voice again. Suddenly, a fierce wind swept in and the sky's clouds changed dramatically. The mountain forests surrounding Desire's sect undulated like waves. Everyone's faces slightly changed, struggling to withstand the wind, looking towards its source. A black dot rushed in from the horizon. He walked in the sky, his fast movement technique driving the atmosphere, creating a strong vortex wind. Nascent Soul Master! Everyone was shocked, showing a look of reverence. This existence, walking through voids as if a ruler, made everyone regard him like a deity. Until the face of the arriving person was seen clearly, they were collectively astonished. Jiang Fan. No, Senior Jiang. The arrival was naturally Jiang Fan, who came swiftly like lightning. He landed on the platform, scanning with his eyes, and saw the familiar figure in peach-pink palace attire before him. Jai Ryu, where is your sect master? Jai Ryu froze, wondering if she was dreaming. She actually saw Jiang Fan. Moreover, he was actively asking her questions. Feeling honored and surprised, she quickly replied, Our sect master returned half a month ago, then left. Jiang Fan's expression darkened. Indeed, she hadn't stayed at Desire's sect. Then where did she go? Gong Kei said Yue Mingzhu wanted to visit their starting place. Jiang Fan pondered over where the starting place was. Noticing Jai Ryu before him, the nascent Soul Cave mansion arose in his mind. That was the place where he and Yue Mingzhu first knew each other. Only when life isn't going well does one reminisce about past warmth. How lonely must Yue Mingzhu be to return alone to the place they met? A twinge of guilt surged through him. He nodded to Jai Ryu. Thanks. Then he rose into the sky, vanishing into the heavens. Leaving Jai Ryu to gaze upward for a long time, her lips slowly revealing a relieved smile. Finally, we met. I should be content. The border area between Desire's sect and Spirit Beast sect. A series of mountains reaching the sky stretched across the earth. The mountain was snow-covered, almost impassable. Atop a snowy mountain peak, a group of purple clouds surrounded a group of peculiar people. They ranged from 2 meters to over 4 meters tall. All were topless, exuding a wild aura. A giant 3 meters tall carried Zhu Wanchang's corpse on his shoulder and said, "Blood General, are we really returning like this? We didn't obtain the great Yin sect's evil crow jade seal, nor capture that little spirit beast that took the merit. How are we going to report back to the city lord?" They are none other than the half-giants from Heavenly Heritage City in returning ruins state. They came to Taikang State for the evil crow jade seal from the great Yin sect and to capture the little Killin. The leader is a giant named Zhu Qianzhang, standing for Zhang Tall. He said in a deep voice, "The city lord only gave us half a month, and we've delayed for over 2 weeks. If we don't return soon, the consequences will be more severe. As for the matter of the evil crow jade seal, we will report to the city lord truthfully. Since someone named Jiang Fan dared to fight us for the evil crow jade seal, he should be prepared to lose his life." A cold glint flashed in Zhu Qianzhang's eyes. Initially, he had already obtained it from the great Yin sect, only to have it snatched away by Jiang Fan halfway. As for the little spirit beast, it's already confirmed to be in Taikang State, so that can be handled. The sage will personally descend upon Taikang State to find it. Let's go. Return. He leaped and was the first to jump off the endless cliff's abyss. The others, dispelling their doubts, followed suit and jumped down. Soon, they squeezed into a nascent soul cave mansion that seemed extremely small to them, arriving in front of the black pill furnace engraved with 9 dragons. Zhu Qianzhang looked down and noticed the pill furnace had been moved, and he squinted his eyes. A nascent soul realm has discovered this place and attempted to move the pill furnace. This furnace cannot be moved without a nascent soul realm soul, but there were faint signs of movement on the pill furnace before him. This is not a good sign. Thinking about it, he took out an explosive jade talisman, showing a tinge of regret. This 9-dragon demon tripod is a top-grade spiritual artifact. I originally wanted to secretly take it away during the ancient war, but now that a nascent soul realm has its eye on it, instead of benefiting Taikang State, it's better to exile it to the void. If we at Heavenly Heritage City can't have it, no one else should either. He placed the jade talisman under the 9-dragon demon tripod and urged, "Go, quickly leave." 1 stick of incense later, the jade talisman will trigger the space power within the tripod, tearing open the void and swallowing everything around it. Saying so, he opened the lid of the furnace. A violent space power burst out, engulfing everyone in it. With a clang, the furnace lid closed again and peace was restored around, but soon after, a whooshing sound appeared outside the cave. It was Jiang Fan. "Yue Mingzhu?" he called out as he walked inside, but there was no response from inside the cave. Jiang Fan grew worried. If Yue Mingzhu is not here, where else would she be? Is she at Tai Lake or at Boundary Mountain? Or perhaps she has returned to Taikang State, alone in some place, unwilling to return to the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion. As he pondered, he stepped into the cave. It was then he noticed something unusual. The ground that should have been covered in dust had large footprints. They were human-shaped but unusually large. The smallest one was as big as Jiang Fan's chest. This is, Jiang Fan wondered, ancient giants? No, smaller than ancient giants, but many times larger than normal humans. Half-giants? He quickly recognized it, narrowing his eyes. It's that group of half-giants capturing the little Killin. I remember their leader is called Zhu Qianzhang, right? Why are they here? Jiang Fan followed their footprints cautiously to the alchemy room on the left. The ground was still full of footprints, but there was no sign of the half-giants. Have they left? Jiang Fan looked puzzled. No. The air was still filled with a strong aura of the wilderness, indicating they had been here not long ago. If they had left, they would have run into Jiang Fan coming here. Jiang Fan's eyes flickered. "There's something fishy," he squinted, staring at the tightly sealed furnace lid on the pill furnace. If there's still any mystery left in this nascent soul cave mansion, it would be the 9-dragon demon tripod before him. He closed his eyes, activating the space origin within him. Upon closely sensing, he indeed detected a peculiar abundance of space power within the pill furnace. He was shocked. This pill furnace is at the core of a state-level teleportation array. The half-giants returned to the two states through the pill furnace. No wonder they disappeared all of a sudden. I never thought there'd be a hidden teleportation array between returning Ruin's state and Taikang state here, Jiang Fan exclaimed in surprise. The nascent Soul Cave mansion accidentally discovered by him and Yue Mingzhu harbored such a significant secret. Truly unexpected. Wait. Jiang Fan's expression suddenly froze as he grasped the 9-dragon demon tripod, exclaiming in shock. Could it be that Yue Mingzhu inadvertently activated the space power within the 9-dragon demon tripod, transporting her to returning Ruin's state? Is that why she went missing? Thinking of this, Jiang Fan's face changed dramatically. This teleportation array likely leads to Heavenly Heritage City. That is probably the half-giant's territory. If Yue Mingzhu, being a woman, got transported there, would she face danger? Having witnessed the conduct of Zhu Wancheng and Zhu Qianzhang and the other half-giants, none of them are benevolent. Without hesitation, he grasped the furnace lid. Yue Mingzhu left everything behind to venture to Taikang's state with him, yet Jiang Fan needed Yue Mingzhu to plead for even a little companionship. Now Yue Mingzhu revisits their lost places of memory, longing for their past, only to be transported to returning Ruin's state, caught in a crisis. How could he hesitate? He must go to returning Ruin's state and bring her back. Still, he didn't lose his composure. With a swift motion, he retrieved the space mirror, and the little Qilin poked its small head out. "Master, what's wrong?" Jiang Fan thought for a moment, then said, "You came from Heavenly Heritage City and returning Ruin's state." He remembered Zhu Qianzhang saying the little Qilin was a sage's spiritual pet, lost in Heavenly Heritage City. The little Qilin nodded, then shook its head, saying, "I came from returning Ruin's state, but I seem to have come to returning Ruins from a place much farther." Jiang Fan was surprised. "A place farther away. Where did you actually come from?" Speaking of which, the little Qilin had never mentioned its origins. The little Qilin scratched its round head with its little paw, saying, "I forgot too. Anyway, it was a very, very far place. I only remember that after waking up, people in returning Ruin's state were trying to capture me. Then, a tearful lady threw me into a transmission array, and I was teleported to the North Sea. After that, I went to the Tiger Demon Emperor Mansion and was chased by the Sky Demon Emperor until I met Master." Jiang Fan was puzzled. A tearful lady? Who could that be? He patted the little Qilin's round head, saying, "If you can't remember, don't worry about it." Along with Hua Xin, there were already 2 individuals around him who had forgotten their own identities. He was already quite accustomed to it. "Since you were captured by people from returning Ruin's state, just stay hidden in the mirror and don't come out. Zhu Qianzhang said you are a sage's spiritual pet, and undoubtedly it was a sage realm entity trying to capture you. If he discovers you, I won't be able to protect you." The little Qilin brandished its tiny claws, revealing 2 little tiger teeth, fiercely saying, "Then I'll slap him to death." Jiang Fan laughed, stuffing it back into the mirror. Taking a deep breath, he opened the furnace lid, and a force of space power surged out, wrapping around him and pulling him inside. Simultaneously, underneath the furnace, a talisman flashed urgently, emitting a dangerous red glow. Fan couldn't help but recall the last time he crossed the state-level teleportation array and was chased by the Usura Saint's son. The perilous experience left him with lingering fear, and he muttered to himself, "Will it be safe this time? It's my 3rd time using a privately built teleportation array. Could you spare me and let me land safely in returning Ruin's state?" It's better if he didn't pray. As soon as he spoke, the space tunnel suddenly quaked. A deafening crash resounded from behind him. "Ah!" Jiang Fan's face turned ashen. "No, are you playing with me?" Turning his head, he saw the space tunnel collapsing at an alarming speed. Vaguely, he saw a corner of the void being torn open, revealing the landscape of Taikang State. That's exactly where the Snow Mountain is located. Did the state-level teleportation array get destroyed? Doesn't this mean the 9-dragon demon tripod fell into the void as well? Jiang Fan was both shocked and distressed. Back then, his soul hadn't reached the level of a 5-star soul master, and he couldn't take the 9-dragon demon tripod. Now that he finally has, the tripod is very likely to fall into the void. Suddenly, a large number of remnants from the nascent Soul Cave mansion were exiled into the void. Among them was a large black tripod, accompanied by countless debris falling into the depths of the void. Jiang Fan's expression changed, but then he was overjoyed. He decisively took out the void fishing rod and swung it to the 9-dragon demon tripod. In the next moment, the hook precisely caught the 9-dragon demon tripod, fishing it back from a pile of drifting ruins. Jiang Fan held it in both hands. A weight indescribably heavy suddenly struck him, making it impossible to hold up, and he plummeted downward. Seeing he was about to crush the already precarious space tunnel, Jiang Fan hurriedly activated his soul power to envelop the 9-dragon demon tripod. Only then did it stop its descent. Jiang Fan secretly breathed a sigh of relief, saying, "I almost forgot this 9-dragon demon tripod can only be lifted with soul power. Fortunately, my soul power has long reached the peak level of a 5-star soul master. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to hold onto this tripod." At this moment, he could easily hold it with soul power. It was like adding a feather to his shoulder. It's hard to imagine its true weight is terrifying. Even a divinity transformation venerable of the heavenly person decline might not be able to lift it by brute force. I wonder what use this tripod actually has. Jiang Fan's eyes were filled with curiosity. Since it serves as the core of a state-level teleportation array, besides alchemy, it should have other functions. However, as the sound of explosions came again from the end of the space tunnel, Jiang Fan felt a chill. Now is not the time to study the 9-dragon demon tripod. This state-level teleportation space tunnel is collapsing. With a thought, he stored the 9-dragon demon tripod in the heavenly thunder stone and then fled swiftly like lightning. But the speed of space collapse was too fast. In the blink of an eye, a space turbulence swept in from behind, destroying everything along the way and tossing them into the void. Jiang Fan's scalp tingled. He immediately activated Cloud Shadow and sped forward. After barely 10 times, the thunder power ran dry. He decisively took out a thunder mountain. It was the compensation the heavenly mechanism elder asked from the heavenly human 2 declines expert of young Emperor Mountain. While absorbing the thunder power, he continued to activate Cloud Shadow. This allowed him to gradually widen the distance. After half a cup of tea, Jiang Fan successfully escaped the collapsing space tunnel and saw the end of the tunnel. A gigantic array floating in the void, slowly rotating, emitting a faint white light. Once he passed through, he could successfully arrive in returning ruins state. But suddenly there was a sharp cracking sound. Fissures appeared in the array without warning. The tunnel connected to the array developed dense cracks about to explode. Jiang Fan's pupils narrowed. Someone is sabotaging the array on the other end. Coupled with the fact that shortly after he entered, the array at Taikang State's end was destroyed. He immediately understood what was going on, and his eyes were filled with fury. Zhu Qianzhang sabotaged the returning ruins stateside to ensure the destruction of the teleportation array. Crack! The array exploded, releasing tumultuous space power impacting the space tunnel. His expression changed again. Now he's in the void. There's no way back. The terrifying thing is, the array ahead is disintegrating rapidly, leaving Jiang Fan no time to rush over. And once the space tunnel collapses, he won't have the chance to use the void fishing rod and would be swept away by the void. At the critical moment, he abruptly absorbed Thunder Path power from the Thunder Mountain and activated Heavenly Abyss Heart. Accumulated Heavenly Abyss Heart instantly boosted Cloud Shadow's travel distance tenfold. Whoosh! Just as the array completely disintegrated, most of Jiang Fan's body passed through the array. His feet, however, didn't escape, and with a crack, remained in the void forever as the array fragmented. Hiss! The pain caused cold sweat to drip down Jiang Fan. Thankfully, a mixture of spiritual energy and yin qi greeted him. By luck, he arrived at returning ruins state, but now isn't the time to be happy. Because the array was damaged, the space power had been chaotic and failed to deliver him to the other side of the transmission array. Instead, he was randomly teleported to some place in returning ruins state. This kind of random teleportation was not unfamiliar to Jiang Fan. It often transports him close to things closely linked with him. He and True Word Venerable mutually falling from the sky and hitting each other was the best proof. He had no connection with returning ruins state. This random teleportation wouldn't directly take him next to Yue Mingzhu, would it? As the world spun around, without the chance to swallow the revitalizing pill, he turned into a fireball, crashing towards a ruined human clan city. In the city, a girl with golden mask and waterfall-like black hair held a 3-foot green peak, standing on the rooftop. Her fiery red dress danced in the chaotic air currents, tightly clinging to her body, outlining an enticing silhouette. Her condition wasn't too good. Her face was pale, and there were traces of blood at the corner of her mouth. Nascent soul power was depleted. Behind her lay an elderly atorifice nascent soul woman, severely wounded and deeply unconscious. Before her were several half-giants encircling. The shortest was 3 meters tall, the tallest was a full 4 meters. The 4-meter-tall half-giant, eyes cold, said, "Ziwei Fairy, why get involved? We, Star Mountain, and Heavenly Heritage City are about to form an alliance. Why cause trouble over an unfamiliar atorifice nascent soul?" Ziwei Fairy's visage hidden under the golden mask was unclear, but her cold voice expressed her stance. "Rather than meddle, I'm curious why you chase an atorifice nascent soul of the human clan relentlessly, even deploying a half-giant soon to enter Dharma image realm." The 4-meter giant's eyes narrowed slightly, said, "Ziwei Fairy, last warning. Don't meddle, step aside. In consideration of you becoming the daughter-in-law of Heavenly Heritage City's young city lord, we've shown mercy." Ziwei Fairy slowly raised her sword, pointing at him, said, "Then kill me." The 4-meter giant's eyes showed a hint of ferocity, said, "Fine, you asked for it. I'm sure the city lord and young city lord will understand." His body shuddered, unleashing a crushing demonic force. But just as he was about to strike, the sky suddenly brightened and a massive fireball plummeted sharply. "It's a human clan with an atorifice nascent soul. Everyone move aside." The half-giants hurriedly dodged. Ziwei Fairy's face slightly changed as she carried the unconscious old woman and retreated swiftly. To her surprise, as she moved, the flames changed direction, seemingly heading towards her. "Is it an enemy?" Ziwei Fairy frowned. She stopped, calmly pulling out a black spear and tightly holding it in her hand. The sharp spear tip was aimed at the incoming fireball from afar. If the intruder doesn't stop, they will be pierced. Currently, Jiang Fan wasn't like last time, injured and falling. His consciousness remained clear, aware he would soon teleport to the destination. He immediately activated the space technique to forcefully escape. As the flames on his body extinguished, he swiftly took a handful of revitalizing pills to heal his wounds. Then he floated in midair, scrutinizing the masked girl before him, frowning deeply. Although her face was indistinct, her figure was tall and slender. Clearly, she wasn't Yue Mingzhu. How did he end up teleported in front of her? As he assessed the girl, she too assessed him. Jiang Fan's hair was singed, his face charred, making his appearance indistinguishable. But the girl's gaze quickly fixated on the purple sword among the 3 swords on Jiang Fan's back. With a focused stare, her pupils trembled. Soon after, she reassessed Jiang Fan's face, and her eyes quivered even more dramatically. Her delicate body lightly trembled, her hands shook, and the old woman she was holding fell to the ground. Even the sword in her hand was barely held steady. However, the mutual gaze did not last. The 4.5 giants gave the other half-giants a cold eye sign. They understood and started to surround Jiang Fan and Ziwei Fairy with a ferocious expression. Jiang Fan noticed their movement, recognizing them as half-giants, his face immediately darkening. He was just worried about finding where to take revenge on Zhu Qianzhang for his broken leg. Now these half-giants came looking for trouble. "Don't look for trouble," Jiang Fan coldly stated. Ever since knowing the origin of half-giants, he has had no fondness for them. Further dealings with Zhu Wanchang and Zhu Qianzhang intensified the dislike. If they truly provoked him, he certainly wouldn't hold back. The 4.5 giants glanced at Jiang Fan's bloody broken leg, sneering, "Already crippled, yet still so arrogant. Just as well I wasn't planning to let you leave alive anyway." His eyes flashed fiercely, suddenly opening his mouth to emit an ear-piercing howl. It was a secret technique that condensed the atmosphere in the chest cavity, then unleashed a sonic wave with powerful physique. The howl was intensely penetrating, causing Jiang Fan's blood to flow backwards and his body to ache sharply. Ziwei Fairy showed painful eyes, letting out slight groans. She endured the pain, producing 3 strands of soft starlight. Appears to be some protective body artifact. With a flick of her finger, a strand of starlight flew out. Surprisingly, the first protected was neither herself nor the old woman behind her, but Jiang Fan. Watching the starlight fall on him, Jiang Fan was stunned, somewhat baffled as he looked at Ziwei Fairy. This girl actually showed such concern for him. Does she know him? With no time to ponder, the starlight dispersed, encasing his body completely. The impact from the sonic wave considerably eased. After using starlight on herself and the old woman, Ziwei Fairy's damage was minimized too. With a slight darkened face, she spoke, "Do not harm innocent people. Whatever concerns, deal with me." The 4.5 giants snorted coldly. "You barely protecting yourself and wish to protect others," immediately shouted. "What are you waiting for? Send the lady on her way." The surrounding half-giants showed ferocious eyes. One of the 3.5 giants decisively took action. His legs stomped the ground, bursting with unparalleled speed, leaving behind afterimages in the air. Ziwei Fairy swung her sword strikingly. Her swordsmanship was exquisite, precisely striking the opponent's fist. Frighteningly, the spiritual artifact-level green sword sparked intensely. The 3.5 giants sneered. "I didn't hold back before. Do you truly think as a 4-aperture nascent soul you can match me?" He shook his fist, emitting immense force to bounce off the green sword. Then the fist wind drove forward, aiming fiercely for Ziwei Fairy's face. The punch came too fast. Ziwei Fairy's view was instantly filled by the enormous fist. Her pupils contracted, heart racing, lacking time to dodge. She understood she was facing death, yet strangely she did not fear it, instead felt a sense of relief. A pain surged but quickly subsided. Opening her eyes, the fist froze before her. Only the assailing fist wind brought a slight pain. She glanced aside, realizing Jiang Fan had instantaneously moved, grabbing the 3.5 giant's arm firmly. No matter how the 3.5 giant exerted force, he couldn't break free. Reckless, the 3.5 giant's shame turned to rage. His physique was strong enough to rival an atorifious nascent soul magic cultivator. Yet, Jiang Fan, relying on sheer physique, suppressed him completely, an utter insult. Furiously, he formed a knife edge with his other hand aimed viciously at Jiang Fan's throat, intending to pierce through. Just yet, before he could act, Jiang Fan's eyes narrowed. 2 concentrated bolts of lightning shot at the opponent's head. With a bang, the 3.5 giant's head exploded like a ripe watermelon. Jiang Fan showed no emotion, releasing his hold, dropping the limp, headless corpse to the ground. His palm emitted spiritual power, cleaning off the dirty blood disdainfully, indifferently saying, "I told you, don't seek trouble." The surrounding half-giants were startled, recoiling in fear. The 4.5 giants were also shocked. This person's cultivation reached atorifious nascent soul. Unexpectedly, his physique was atorifious level. Magic cultivation often excels, making physique rather fragile. The young man before them was entirely contrary. After weighing the situation momentarily, based on his strength, killing Jiang Fan was feasible. But it would be difficult to prevent Ziwei Fairy from escaping with the old woman. Rather than risk, he preferred keeping it under control temporarily, quietly calling reinforcements. His eyes flickered, speaking in deep voice. "Such skill, but your offense against Heavenly Heritage City is unwise. Think wisely. Let's retreat." As he intended to temporarily withdraw, following them secretly, Jiang Fan might not agree. "Did I permit you to leave?" Jiang Fan turned around, eyes showing faint killing intent. The 4.5 giants sneered. "Offered you a way out, yet you refuse." Jiang Fan drew the purple sword from his back, intensifying the killing intent, stating, "First, your gaze tells me you didn't plan to let it go. Second, I too didn't intend to let you off." Given their aggressive actions, how could Jiang Fan possibly show mercy? Giant's eyes turned fierce as he spoke. "Very few dare speak to us, the people of Heavenly Heritage City, in this manner. I suppose you must be someone from the outer state. Since you can't learn to adapt to the local customs, then meet your end here as a stranger. Block Ziwei Fairy, don't let her escape." With that said, his body trembled. Inside him, purple lights flickered, clearly the bloodline of the ancient giant. A blurry-faced figure with 3 heads and 6 arms manifested behind him, exuding an extraordinary might. Jiang Fan recognized it well. It was the phantom that appeared when a body refiner stepped into the Dharma image realm. The 4.5 giant before him was like Zhu Qianzheng, both nearly body refiners of great success at the Dharma image realm, equivalent to the strength of a 9-orifice nascent soul of magic cultivation. The difference being, they did not have the madness that comes with 9-orifice nascent souls and could remain clear-headed at all times. Back when Jiang Fan was at 5 apertures nascent soul, he had fought a battle against Zhu Qianzheng, and winning had been difficult. But now, looking at the ferocious 4.5 giant, Jiang Fan's mind stirred. He activated the long-unused soul-capturing lock. Instantly, the 4.5 giant was horrified to find his soul bound by chains, unable to control his body. He watched as Jiang Fan, holding the purple sword, used instantaneous movement to appear before him, slashing downwards. He was utterly terrified. Thankfully, when Jiang Fan's sword struck his neck, a furious roar erupted from within him. A purple-black mist erupted from his body, condensing into a tangible Dharma image 10 zhang tall with 3 heads and 6 arms, enveloping the 4.5 giant within it. Simultaneously, it severed Jiang Fan's soul secret technique, allowing the 4.5 giant to regain control of his body. He took several deep breaths, his heart pounding. A look of astonishment was in his eyes as he said, "You even master high-level soul secret techniques." Jiang Fan's purple sword cut into the Dharma image, vanishing as if into the ocean. The sword's edge couldn't cut into the Dharma image at all. The 4.5 giant steadied himself, scoffing, "Don't waste your effort. This is the Dharma image of a great general. Only a divinity transformation venerable of magic cultivation could possibly break it. Being only an 8-aperture nascent soul, don't think too much of it." As he spoke, he retreated cautiously under the protection of the Dharma image, snorting. "You have no idea what kind of trouble you're involving yourself in. What awaits you is our endless pursuit from Heavenly Heritage City." Ziwei Fairy showed a trace of worry in her eyes and said in a deep voice, "Young sir, you'd better leave quickly. Go to the Kinshin Bureau immediately and use the official transmission array to leave." She purposely mentioned using the official transmission array. Jiang Fan didn't respond, but rather he stared at the 10 zhang Dharma image before him and said calmly, "Threatening me? You should worry about yourself first." Clang. The 2 swords behind him flew out in succession, forming a sword array with the purple sword in his palm, transforming into the 3-colored divine rainbow. With a distant point from Jiang Fan, the 3-colored divine rainbow suddenly shot out, striking the Dharma image with 3 heads and 6 arms. This divine rainbow could obliterate even a divinity transformation venerable in person, let alone a singular Dharma image. The Dharma image wielded 6 arms, trying to block it. As a result, the 6 arms were easily severed. Immediately after, the 3-colored divine rainbow sliced downward, cutting the 10 zhang tall Dharma image in 2. The 4.5 giant let out a terrified scream. "Ah, you!" His words choked in his throat as the 3-colored divine rainbow sliced him in 2 as well. A soul half black and half transparent flew from the corpse. Without a thought, he turned to escape into the void. Soul capturing lock! But in front of Jiang Fan, how could he escape? He was instantly bound by soul chains, unable to move. In his eyes filled with despair, Jiang Fan flicked his finger, pulling his soul back into his grasp. "Don't kill me. We are all beings of Central Earth. Please don't kill me." The 4.5 giant immediately pleaded, his earlier malice gone. Jiang Fan squinted slightly but did not act immediately. Instead, he looked around at the 5 half-giants whose faces had drastically changed and were running away in terror. He waved his finger and the 3-colored divine rainbow circled once. Puff, 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 5 huge heads flew skyward one after another. 5 souls instantly darted from the bodies, trying to flee into the void. Jiang Fan pressed his finger to his lips, silently activating Banished Immortal Drunk. The 5 souls immediately wavered, losing the power to escape. With this opportunity, Jiang Fan tossed the soul-suppressing Buddha beads, twisting all 5 souls together like a braid. Thus, all 6 half-giants were annihilated. Ziwei Fairy's pupils constricted, her eyes complex as she looked at the young man in black before her. She seemed to be in a state of shock, standing frozen, unable to regain her senses for a long while, until Jiang Fan's voice carried over. "Fairy, why were these half-giants pursuing you?" Jiang Fan asked. Earlier, this 4.5 giant mentioned that he had involved himself in an enormous affair. Those words he couldn't just ignore. Ziwei Fairy's eyes regained focus and she gently shook her head. She helped the old woman up and said, "I don't know either. I came upon this elder being besieged by half-giants and stepped in to save her. But those half-giants were intent on silencing her. It turned out she was merely acting out of injustice, unaware of the cause." Jiang Fan then looked towards the 6 half-black, half-transparent souls before him, eyes slightly narrowed. "Speak, what have I got myself into?" The 4.5 giant hastily said. "We can't say, otherwise our souls will be destroyed." "Is that so?" Jiang Fan took out the life-changing jade disc. "It's okay if you don't speak." He wondered if the souls of half-giants, like those of the ancient giants, would turn into black smoke and disappear. Grabbing a soul from the soul-suppressing Buddha beads, he attempted to insert it into the disc's aperture. The result: the half-giant's soul emitted a harrowing scream. The black part of his soul burst into black smoke on the spot, vanishing. The other half was successfully absorbed by the life-changing jade disc. One of the apertures flickered a weak red light. Jiang Fan beamed with joy. Half of the half-giant's soul was useful. This meant he could continuously produce sky-reaching marrow by slaying half-giants. For the nascent soul experts of the human clan, Jiang Fan was unwilling to kill them unless left with no choice, using their souls to create sky-reaching marrow, because they would be the power to resist the ancient giants and protect the weak. Those he killed were either traitors or deadly enemies, but half-giants were different. Jiang Fan did not consider these beings that bore the bloodline of ancient giants as part of the human clan. Successfully lighting up one aperture, Jiang Fan grabbed another half-giant soul. The other was consumed with fear, saying, "I really can't say." With no hesitation, Jiang Fan stuffed him into the life-changing jade disc, successfully lighting a second aperture. Then he took hold of the third half-giant soul. The latter's face changed drastically, urgently saying, "Stop, I'll talk. It's about the conquering heaven general." Just after uttering the words, "conquering heaven general," he seemed to provoke some ethereal presence. His soul exploded on the spot. Jiang Fan's eyes narrowed, as this didn't seem like the activation of a soul restriction. It appeared more like a transgression against the laws of the sage. Update, his gaze flickered, grabbing the fourth soul body and asking, "Has a sage left any laws on you?" The soul body trembled, not daring to utter a single word. Jiang Fan said, "If so, blink your eyes and I'll release you immediately." The soul body hurriedly blinked. To his surprise, as soon as he blinked, his soul body exploded. Jiang Fan was filled with dread. Sure enough, they were bound by the laws of the sages. Not only is the conquering heaven general taboo, even the sages are taboo. The 4.5 giant was extremely terrified and hurriedly pleaded, "Comrade, don't ask any more. If I could tell you, I would have said it long ago, don't force us." Jiang Fan was also greatly alarmed. Concerning the sage, he didn't want to delve deeper to avoid inviting trouble. So, he grabbed the 4.5 giant and pressed him into the life-changing jade disc. The 4.5 giant was frightened to the extreme and urgently said, "Don't kill me. I am one of the 100 generals in Heavenly Heritage City. I have some status. I might be able to help you." Jiang Fan pondered slightly and took him back. Instead, he pressed another soul body into the ground. Once all 3 apertures were lit, Jiang Fan was satisfied and stored the life-changing jade disc back in the heavenly thunder stone. As for the soul of the 4.5 giant, Jiang Fan sealed it into the ghost soul crystal. After finishing these things, he felt the pain in his legs. He quickly landed down, silently awaiting the effect of the medicine. At this moment, a fragrant breeze wafted over, and a jade hand reached out. In the palm lay a spirit pill with 6 paths Dan pattern, a rare 6th-grade spirit pill. Even the most precious sky-breaking pearl Venerate Zinni left for the true disciple was only a 6th-grade spirit pill. The young girl with only 5 apertures nascent soul casually brought one out, and she even gave it to Jiang Fan. "Use this, it's stronger than the revitalizing pill," Ziwei Fairy said lightly. Jiang Fan looked at her in confusion and asked, "You know the revitalizing pill?" "This is a spirit pill that has been lost to history. Only those in the 9-sect continent who obtained this pill recognized it. Even Taikang State knew very few. From afar in the returning ruins state, someone identified the revitalizing pill he just consumed." Ziwei Fairy did not answer, instead said calmly, "You saved my life, I give you this pill for healing. Now we owe each other nothing." She placed the pill in Jiang Fan's hand and silently returned to the old hag's side, sitting cross-legged to replenish nascent soul power. Jiang Fan was utterly perplexed. He always felt this woman was overly caring for him. Even when dividing the starlight earlier, she gave it to him first, then herself and the old hag. The intense pain in his legs came, leaving him no time to think. He opened his mouth and swallowed the vibrant 6th-grade spirit pill. To Jiang Fan's astonishment, his severed legs, the bloody wounds healed at a speed visible to the naked eye with bones, blood vessels, blood, and flesh growing. In just 20 breaths, his legs were restored to their original state. This effect was far more heaven-defying than the revitalizing pill. He stood up, cupped his hands in thanks. "Thank you, Fairy, for the spirit pill." Ziwei Fairy remained with her eyes closed, saying lightly, "If there's nothing else, leave returning ruin state. You do not belong here." Jiang Fan thought for a moment and said, "I want to ask you about someone named Yue Mingzhu. She should have arrived in returning ruin state 2 weeks ago." Ziwei Fairy opened her eyes. A flicker of realization flashed by, and she immediately closed them again. Her tone turned cold. "Do not know, never heard. Go ask someone else." Jiang Fan showed a strange expression. Why did this woman suddenly turn cold, just like spirit sound, suddenly getting angry for no reason? He intended to ask this woman if she had any special item that could have drawn him near in the random teleportation. Alas, the woman was already displeased. Asking would be redundant. He could only cup his hands. "Then I won't bother, Fairy, farewell." Just about to leave, the old hag in a coma suddenly murmured with a faint voice. "Heavenly Abyss 7 cities, change, notify. Great wine sacrifice." Ziwei Fairy suddenly opened her eyes, asking urgently, "What happened in Heavenly Abyss 7 cities?" But the old hag fell into a coma again. Ziwei Fairy's brows furrowed deeply. "Why are the injuries not healing at all? Clearly, I gave her a 5th-grade healing spirit pill." Preparing to leave, Jiang Fan couldn't help but assess the old hag's wounds. At first glance, the appearance seemed fine. Upon closer sensing, nothing unusual was found within her. Thinking about it, he took out the Jiaxiang village chief's smell jade and held it in his mouth. Various scents immediately penetrated his nose. Among them, a faint, ominous aura almost undetectable was drifting from the old hag's head. Jiang Fan pondered slightly and placed his finger on the old hag's forehead. Strands of thunder power surged into her. Soon, wisps of thin, hair-like black mist drilled out of the old hag's head. The old hag's continuously dark face finally regained some redness. Ziwei Fairy's eyes showed joy, saying, "You are still so." Halfway through, she stopped, maintaining a calm tone. "You have good skills." Jiang Fan was focused on suppressing the ominous aura, not dwelling on her words. He casually nodded, saying, "It won't be long before she completely wakes up." Pausing for a moment, he was somewhat concerned. What was it she mentioned about Heavenly Abyss 7 cities? Ziwei Fairy hesitated for a moment. She initially didn't want to speak to Jiang Fan anymore. Given that he saved the old hag, she still said, "The Heavenly Abyss is a huge chasm dividing returning ruined state. Legend has it that the land west of Heavenly Abyss was taken from the Heavenly Realm by ancient saints. The land east was taken from the Hell Realm. The two lands were pieced together, creating returning ruined state divided by the Heavenly Abyss." Jiang Fan was enlightened. No wonder the atmosphere of returning ruined state simultaneously contained spiritual energy and yin qi. The existence of returning ruined state also corroborated the origin of Central Earth. Indeed, it was forcibly excavated by ancient saints from the Heavenly Realm and Hell Realm. Ziwei Fairy continued, "The entire returning ruined state was once occupied by magic cultivators. Until 1,000 years ago, after the ancient giant war, many half-giants in Central Earth could not be dealt with. At the insistence of a sage, they were settled on the eastern land of returning ruined state, and the magic cultivators were forced to retreat westward." Jiang Fan frowned deeply. This history he had heard from Qin Wangchuan Supreme Elder. She had said, during the ancient giant war 1,000 years ago, a group who feared death consumed ancient giant blood to evolve into half-giants to avoid being hunted by ancient giants. After the war, Central Earth prepared to clear out this group of traitors. A merciful sage stood up, pardoning them. Unexpectedly, in returning ruined state, Jiang Fan heard the continuation of this history. That sage forced the natives who lived in returning ruined state for eons to cede half of their land to settle the traitors. Thus, why there was Heavenly Abyss 7 cities. Ziwei Fairy didn't say, but Jiang Fan understood. Surely, continual conflicts between human clan magic cultivators and half-giants led to clashes. Hence, the human clan magic cultivators established Heavenly Abyss 7 cities to fend off half-giant invasions. Fairy said, "I don't know if it's due to the ancient giant bloodline, but half-giants are mostly deceitful, greedy, and brutal. Therefore, even with the Heavenly Abyss in between, the half-giants often harass the human clan's magic cultivators. Burning, killing, and looting happen frequently. There are even women who are often violated by them." Upon saying this, Ziwei Fairy frowned, barely concealing her disgust. The more renowned a woman, the more likely she is targeted by them. They justify this by saying they want to spread the excellent seed of half-giants across this land. Hearing this, Jiang Fan's eyes flashed coldly. The deceit, greed, and brutality of the half-giants did not surprise him, because these are the characteristics of ancient giants. Half-giants, possessing their bloodline, would naturally inherit these traits. However, ancient giants would never violate human women, but half-giants do. "Those beasts," Jiang Fan said coldly. So, if there's change in the Heavenly Abyss 7 cities, could it be that the half-giants are causing trouble again? Ziwei Fairy looked at the old woman with the atorifious nascent soul, her voice deep. I'm afraid it's not that simple. There are many strong human clan magic cultivators stationed in the Heavenly Abyss 7 cities. There are at least 20 of them at the atorifious nascent soul level. There is even a divinity transformation venerable guarding it. Yet, this old woman came out to warn us and was intercepted and killed by ancient giants at all costs. It seems that what occurred in the Heavenly Abyss 7 cities is not just ordinary trouble. Upon hearing this, Jiang Fan pondered for a moment. He said in a deep voice, "You take her to the Qinshan Bureau to meet the Great Wine Sacrifice. I will make a trip to the Heavenly Abyss 7 cities. Since there's no news of Yue Mingzhu for now, I'll investigate near the transmission array in Heavenly Heritage City. And on the way, have a look at the situation in the Heavenly Abyss 7 cities." Ziwei Fairy's eyes showed complexity. Haven't seen him for a long time. Jiang Fan is still so righteous. After thinking for a while, she picked up the old woman and said, "I will go with you." As for the Qinshan Bureau, she opened her red lips, gently spat out a jade ball covered in hazy starlight and said, "Master, there is a change in the Heavenly Abyss 7 cities. Please inform the Great Wine Sacrifice." Having said this, the starlight jade ball vanished into the void and flew away. Ziwei Fairy summoned a cloud and said, "There's no time to lose, let's go." Jiang Fan was secretly amazed. What kind of messaging method is that able to traverse the void? The Ziwei Fairy in front of him is truly mysterious. Nodding slightly, he jumped onto the cloud and sat cross-legged. While on the way, he decisively took out Thunder Mountain. Although he used some while escaping in the space tunnel, a good amount remained. Enough to completely fill the Heavenly Abyss Heart. Previously, with the Heavenly Abyss Heart fully activated, Yin-Yang Heaven successfully blocked the deadly blow of the Heavenly Human 3 decline. Now refilling the Heavenly Abyss Heart again, if it unleashes an attack-type Thunder Dao Divine Power, the power should rival the strike of a Heavenly Person declines Divinity Transformation Venerable. Plus the Dayan Sword Array. With his current atorifious nascent soul, he can use it twice consecutively. If encountering great danger, he will have the power to protect himself. After a 2-hour period, with the last wisp of power of thunder and lightning absorbed, the entire Thunder Mountain was exhausted. The Heavenly Abyss Heart was filled once more. He was slightly reassured and opened his eyes to survey the surroundings. One by one, towering stone tablets passed by. Jiang Fan looked down in surprise. It was an enormous cemetery with no visible end. There were countless tombs in the garden. Some had enormous stone tablets that reached into the sky, while others were low. Some tombs had even collapsed and decayed over time. With so many tombs, it should invoke a feeling of eeriness. But the place was full of positive energy, leaving one unafraid. Some small beasts were running around the cemetery, playful in harmony. "What is this place?" Ziwei Fairy was also looking at the land, her eyes full of profound respect, and said, "This is the cemetery of returning ruin state. Built 1,000 years ago from the ancient war, burying those who valiantly sacrificed during the ancient giant war. Among them were divinity transformation venerables, nascent soul realm, and even some core formation realm." Jiang Fan looked at the countless tombs sprawling towards the horizon. A sense of respect arose naturally in his heart. For a mature ancient giant, the starting point is the nascent soul middle stage. In returning ruin state 1,000 years ago, how desperate were the human clan to even send core formation realm to the front? How did these martyrs hold on to the very last moment in that battle? He instinctively cupped his hands and bowed towards them from afar. The central earth of today was built with their lives and blood, deserving the admiration of every descendant. After a full cup of tea's time, they finally crossed the enormous cemetery. A huge black chasm ran across the central land. That is where the two lands adjoin, the Heavenly Abyss. On the western land, an enormous city loomed into view. Ziwei Fairy squinted and said, "That's one of the Heavenly Abyss 7 cities, Shaking Light City." Jiang Fan also secretly became vigilant, ready for anything unexpected. However, when the two arrived above Shaking Light City, they both slightly frowned. Looking down, Shaking Light City bustled with ceaseless streams of people and vehicles, booming with activity. There was no sign of any half-giant assault at all. Ziwei Fairy said, "Could it be that only one of the cities was affected?" Jiang Fan's face showed doubt. That shouldn't be the case. As a strategic stronghold, the communication between the Heavenly Abyss 7 cities should be very tight. There's no reason for one city to be attacked while the other cities remain unaware. Yet the peace of shaking light city was indisputable. They could only go investigate another city. Next, they visited the 6 cities of Tianshu, Tiangshuan, Tianji, Megrez, Vega, and Kayang in sequence. The 2 stood above Kayang City, their eyes full of confusion. Along the way, including the Kayang City beneath them. All 7 cities in the heavenly abyss were bustling with activity. There was no sign of any half-giant invasion at all. Jiang Fan was a bit puzzled and said, "What the old woman said about a change in the heavenly abyss 7 cities, could it be some kind of unoccurred warning?" Ziwei Fairy was also a bit confused. The old woman, severely injured and dying, was insistent on notifying them to quickly go to the Kinshin Bureau. It doesn't make sense for nothing to have happened, right? She looked at the old woman she was holding, still asleep, with no way to inquire. Jiang Fan stroked his chin and said, "That can't be right. If nothing had happened, why would those half-giants go to extremes to silence me?" He closed his eyes to think deeply, pondering if he had overlooked something. Suddenly, he vaguely sensed something and suddenly looked inward at his own nascent soul. His face showed a hint of surprise. Ziwei Fairy asked in bewilderment, "What's the matter?" Jiang Fan looked visibly odd. "Look at your nascent soul power." Ziwei Fairy, puzzled, looked inward and was amazed. "When did I consume 20% of my nascent soul power?" Jiang Fan also lost 10% of his nascent soul power. But such a bit of travel shouldn't consume so much. Jiang Fan's eyes narrowed. Something indeed has happened in the heavenly abyss 7 cities. Update silently and without a trace, it devoured 1/10 of his nascent soul power. This was somewhat terrifying. He looked around, finally fixing his gaze on the city of Kayang beneath his feet, saying, "Let's first go into the city and ask around. If we can't find anything out, we'll wait for this old woman to wake up." Ziwei Fairy nodded, and together with Jiang Fan, flew down into the city. The city was mostly populated by ordinary people. Vendors, laborers, and street peddlers could be seen everywhere. Having not visited such a bustling city for a long time, Jiang Fan couldn't help but feel a bit dazed. The last time he entered a city was when he went to Sunset City in the north border with Yue Mingzhu. In a flash, it had already become an affair from more than half a year ago. Beside him, Ziwei Fairy glanced at Jiang Fan, who was walking alongside her. Her heart welled up with a tinge of bitterness. She never imagined that one day she would be walking alongside Jiang Fan in a bustling street. If only this day had come earlier. Now it's too late. Gurgle. An errant ball suddenly rolled over, eventually stopping at Jiang Fan's feet. Jiang Fan looked and saw 3 6-year-old children in coarse shirts and shorts running after the ball. Seeing the ball near Jiang Fan, the boy in the middle walked forward a bit timidly. "Could you give the ball back to me?" A shiny long-life copper lock hung around his neck, and he wore a hat with little tiger ears on his head. He had big eyes and a little flat nose. He looked somewhat scared at the tall, black-clad Jiang Fan. Jiang Fan smiled slightly, bent down to pick up the ball, and handed it to the little boy. "Here you go." The little boy, like a mouse, quickly grabbed the ball and then ran away barefoot with his 2 small companions. Jiang Fan chuckled softly and said, "The most carefree age indeed." After speaking, Jiang Fan suddenly paused. For some reason, he had an odd feeling of déjà vu about the scene before him. Ziwei Fairy cleared her mind and noticed a young man at the core formation realm with a copper sword strapped to his back walking by. She quickly stepped forward and said, "Taoist friend, may I ask you something?" The young man, dressed in white, gazed at Ziwei Fairy's graceful figure, immediately revealing a lascivious smile. He reached out to touch Ziwei Fairy's chin, saying, "Sure, let's find a quiet place and I can slowly tell you." Ouch! The young man suddenly howled in pain. It was Jiang Fan who had twisted his wrist. Ziwei Fairy looked surprised and said, "Young Master Jiang, such quick reflexes." The man had been so unexpectedly indecent that she hadn't reacted yet, but Jiang Fan had promptly stopped him. Jiang Fan pushed the young man in white away, and with a slight frown looked at his own hand, appearing puzzled. It wasn't that he reacted quickly. Rather, it was like a reflex, as if he had a premonition and acted before the other could even make a move. This wasn't right. Jiang Fan is someone who pays great attention to detail, and while others might overlook something like this without a second thought, he found it very unusual. There is indeed something wrong with this city. Jiang Fan stared at his surroundings, but no matter how he looked, he couldn't discern what was wrong. Ziwei Fairy frowned. She didn't know why, but she also felt something was off. Just now, when Jiang Fan returned the ball to the child, an image flashed in her mind of Jiang Fan saying, "The most carefree age indeed," almost as if she could foresee the future. Jiang Fan looked at the bustling crowd and said, "Let's walk around a bit more and ask more people. If something has happened in the city, there's no way they wouldn't be aware of it." The two of them made their way through the crowd, stopping to question every martial artist they encountered. Some were at the Foundation establishment realm, while others were at the nascent soul realm. Without exception, they all expressed confusion. Finally, they arrived at the City Lord Mansion. Ziwei Fairy said, "In this city, there should be a City Lord guarding it who possesses the atorifious nascent soul. Let's see." With their level of cultivation, they were soon granted an audience. They found themselves in the City Lord Mansion. The City Lord was a middle-aged man with a gentle and refined appearance, looking warm and scholarly, bearing a shackle on his body. If he went berserk, the shackle would automatically knock him out. He smiled as he assessed Jiang Fan, saying, "To reach the atorifious nascent soul stage at such a young age, it truly is unexpected that Taikang State could produce someone like you. It's really unexpected indeed." Jiang Fan cupped his hands and said, "The City Lord overpraises. To be honest, we too visit the City Lord to inquire whether anything unusual has happened in the city." The City Lord stroked his beard, frowned, and pondered. "Unusual occurrences. Recently, Kayang City has been quite peaceful. Nothing like public duels have even occurred." "I am not sure what young Master Jiang is referring to." Jiang Fan furrowed his brows deeply. As someone with an atorifious nascent soul, his perception is far beyond ordinary people. If there were any disturbances in Kayang City, he would have sensed it. Yet he was completely unaware. Jiang Fan felt deeply perplexed. What was happening with this city? The City Lord laughed and said, "If you two have no other matters, why don't you stay at my mansion for a few days, so I may properly extend my hospitality as the host?" Jiang Fan said, "The City Lord's kindness is acknowledged, but we have other matters, so we must take our leave." He stood up, his gaze casually sweeping over the decor of the City Lord Mansion's guest hall, then left with his brows tightly furrowed. Ziwei Fairy sighed softly and said, "Perhaps it's truly a misunderstanding. Young Master Jiang, sorry to have troubled you for so long. You still need to find someone, do not delay further. Let's part ways here." Jiang Fan nodded. Since the 7 cities of the heavenly abyss seem to be fine overall, he need not be concerned. Let the people of the returning ruins state investigate themselves. He had to hurry to find Yue Mingzhu. That group of half-giants are beasts that assault exceptional women. And Yue Mingzhu is a beautiful young girl with a forever youthful appearance of 18. The longer she stays in Heavenly Heritage City, the more dangerous it becomes. Then we shall meet again. Farewell." After saying this, he frowned once more. For some reason, the scene felt very familiar to him, almost as if he had parted ways with Ziwei Fairy many times before. Yet clearly this was their first farewell. Something was off. Something must have happened to him. There were many things that were not right. He closed his eyes, his mind racing. Suddenly, he thought of a calendar hanging on the wall of the City Lord Mansion. His eyes slowly opened, a glint of insight spreading in his gaze. He shouted, "Ziwei Fairy, may I ask what day is it today?" Ziwei Fairy answered without hesitation, "The 3rd of December, why do you ask?" Jiang Fan's eyes suddenly widened. A hint of shock filled his eyes as he said in a deep voice, "I just saw the calendar in the City Lord Mansion showing. Today is December 1st. Ziwei Fairy paused, saying, "Perhaps they forgot to tear the calendar in the City Lord Mansion." "Isn't that nothing?" Jiang Fan's eyes were full of seriousness. He had already guessed something. He quickly moved to a stall selling calligraphy and calendars. An open calendar there also showed December 1st. Ziwei Fairy hurried over to take a look and was stunned. What's going on? Could everyone in Kayang City have forgot to tear their calendars? Or could it be? Her expression changed dramatically, a thought she almost couldn't believe emerged in her mind. Could it be? The Kayang City we see is actually from 2 days ago. Jiang Fan nodded heavily. A certain influential person has turned back Kayang City's time by 2 days. Fairy gasped, her beautiful eyes contracted to the extreme. To be able to reverse the time of the entire Kayang City, it must at least be at the Sage Realm, right? She covered her red lips under the mask, surprised. Without evidence, you can't just say something like this. Jiang Fan's eyes gleamed with intelligence, saying, "The evidence is on us. You must feel the same as I do, that some scenes seem familiar, right?" Ziwei Fairy was shocked. "You have that feeling too?" She thought it was all her own illusion. Jiang Fan said, "And when I blocked that young man in white for you, it wasn't my conscious action. It was the body's memory." Saying this, he frowned. The only thing I don't understand is why part of our nascent soul power has disappeared. How did this happen? Right at this moment, a calm voice came from Jiang Fan's chest. That's because you two have returned from shaking Light City to Xianxia City over 100 times. That's how your nascent soul power was consumed. What? He has traveled back and forth between shaking Light City and Xianxia City over 100 times. How is that possible? He had just come from shaking Light City. When did he go back and forth? Jiang Fan took out the mirror and looked at Princess Jiang sitting calmly inside, his eyes flickering. Are you saying that we are trapped in a time loop? Princess Jiang said calmly. I know the time loop here can't deceive you. You will eventually notice. She paused, and a star pattern resembling a water ripple appeared on her forehead, saying, That's right, there is a powerful figure who forcibly changed the time of the 7 cities of the heavenly abyss with the law, bringing the 7 cities of the heavenly abyss back to the first day of December, and it will keep repeating. And you too entered the time loop as soon as you stepped above shaking Light City. Jiang Fan was shocked. This sounded too terrifying. But precisely because of this, it can explain his and Ziwei Fairy's impression of familiarity with the surroundings, as well as why a portion of their nascent soul power disappeared. A cold sweat dripped from Jiang Fan's forehead. How long have we been trapped in this time loop? Princess Jiang said indifferently. 7 days. Every 2-hour period, the time of the 7 cities of the heavenly abyss will reverse once. You will return to the state when you entered shaking Light City, then come to Xianxia City, investigate briefly, and when the time comes, you will reverse back to above shaking Light City. Over and over again, experienced it 100 times. Jiang Fan inhaled sharply. Judging from the consumption of his nascent soul power, 7 days is completely accurate. He had been unknowingly trapped in the 7 cities of the heavenly abyss for 7 whole days. If he hadn't been meticulous and noticed all the strange things, wouldn't he be trapped in the time loop forever? Princess Jiang pinched her finger. Time is about to reverse. Next time you may not be able to see through the issues with the timeline. Jiang Fan's face changed. This time it was completely by accident that he saw the almanac on the City Lord Mansion wall, realizing the time issue. Next time, not necessarily. What should he do? He must escape this time loop immediately, or there will be trouble. However, this is most likely the work of a sage. How could he break free? Princess Jiang slowly stood up. The time origin star on her forehead sped up its rotation. With a gloating tone, she said, How about we make a deal? You let me go, and I'll use the time origin to break this time reversal, granting you freedom. How about it? She had been waiting for this opportunity. And now it finally arrived. The only one who could break the time reversal is her time origin. Jiang Fan had no other options. Dream on! Jiang Fan refused unequivocally. He would rather be trapped here with Princess Jiang than let this major threat return. Princess Jiang shrugged, her golden eyes showing a playful expression. I must remind you that Sage won't let the time reversal continue indefinitely. When he revokes everything, he will certainly take action to silence you. Do you have the confidence to survive against a sage? Jiang Fan was alert. Time is pressing, but he wouldn't be coerced by Princess Jiang. His gaze shifted to Ziwei Fairy, saying, Ziwei Fairy, I need you to do something so that it might be possible to break the time reversal. Ziwei Fairy was in a daze. She was still somewhat bewildered, unable to accept that she had been in a bizarre time reversal for 7 days. Upon hearing this, she blankly said, You say? Jiang Fan pointed to himself, Hit me. Ziwei Fairy asked in shock. You want me to hit you? Jiang Fan nodded. Yes, it's best if you hit hard and curse at me while hitting. Since this is caused by a sage's law, if he activates the Heavenly Eye Sage's law, would time reversal still exist when the 2 laws clash? Ziwei Fairy shook her head, saying, For no reason, why would I hit you or curse you? Jiang Fan said, This concerns whether we can break the time reversal. If you really can't bring yourself to hit and curse, then just imagine me as the person you hate the most, that way you can do it. The person she hates the most. Ziwei Fairy looked at Jiang Fan in front of her, her gaze gradually becoming complex, then she slowly nodded. You're the one who wanted me to hit. Don't regret it afterward, Jiang Fan said. Feel free to hit and curse, I absolutely won't blame you. Since he said so, Ziwei Fairy recalled all sorts of things about Jiang Fan. A grudge grew in her heart. Her fist suddenly clenched tight, filled with the power of the 5 apertures' nascent soul. With eyes spitting fire, she swung a punch at Jiang Fan's chest, shouting angrily, Jiang Fan, you bastard! Jiang Fan was slightly stunned. Wasn't it that you're supposed to pretend I'm the person you hate the most? Why does it seem like you actually hate me? But whatever. The more realistic it is, the better, so it can trigger the sage's engraving. Indeed, just when Ziwei Fairy's fist was about to hit Jiang Fan's chest, the sage's engraving activated. Ziwei Fairy's eyes, spitting fire, suddenly overflowed with tenderness. The fist that was swinging at Jiang Fan instead hooked around his neck. From under the mask, alluring red lips appeared and kissed Jiang Fan's lips, whispering in a fragrant breath, "Jiang Fan, I like you, I've always liked you, did you know?" In the next moment, Ziwei Fairy returned to her senses. She was stunned for a moment, then let out an ear-piercing scream. "Ah, what have I done?" She pushed Jiang Fan away, blushing from her ears to her cheeks, and her eyes were so embarrassed they were about to shed tears. She couldn't believe she had hugged and kissed Jiang Fan and said those embarrassing words. Jiang Fan, however, paid her no mind, instead looking around. Crash! The faint sound of water flowing grew louder and louder, eventually roaring like a torrent. It was like a river blocked by a dam. When the gate opened, the accumulated torrent gushed forth. Jiang Fan was overjoyed in his heart. The time shrouding the 7 cities of the heavenly abyss was all released. The 7 cities of the heavenly abyss were no longer trapped on the first day of December, but instead synchronized with real time. As the sound of water intensified, the surrounding space shook, gradually revealing the real scene. But upon seeing clearly, Jiang Fan was petrified on the spot. Update: the calligraphy and painting stall beside him had fallen to the ground. Each painting was soaked in black, filthy blood. The skinny owner, who had just been sunbathing in the corner, was now reduced to 2 severely decayed legs remaining in place. The rotting flesh was crawling with white maggots. A thick stench of decay filled the air, overwhelming the senses. But this was only the beginning. As the surrounding spaces synchronized with the time of the present world, their true appearances were revealed. The peddler pushing the cart to sell goods was nowhere to be seen, leaving only a ground full of blood and rotting flesh. The cart was overturned at the roadside and vanished without a trace. The passers-by on the street disappeared in an instant, leaving only dismembered limbs, pieces of flesh, and flies buzzing around them. The neat houses by the roadside turned into ruins. Many were buried alive within, unable to find peace in death. Looking around, there were barely any intact buildings in the entire Xianxia city. The surroundings were filled with dead silence. Besides the buzzing of flies and the overwhelming stench of decay, there wasn't any sign of life. The entire Xianxia city was utterly dead. At that moment, Jiang Fan felt something sticky on his hand. Looking down, he saw his right hand covered in black filth blood. He felt a shock in his heart and looked towards the distance on the street. A blood-stained ball lay silently in the corner. Beside the ball, there was also a head. It was a small head wearing a tiger hat. Beside the head lay a blood-dyed longevity lock. Jiang Fan's pupils lost focus, staring at the little head, lost in thought. In his mind, the image of the shy little boy asking to play ball with him emerged. Ziwei Fairy suddenly vomited. She trembled uncontrollably, her eyes filled with shock. The entire city was dead. Her voice trembled continuously. What on earth happened here? Princess Zaijiang looked at the dismembered corpses on the ground, a scene not unfamiliar to her. The golden vertical eye narrowed slightly and said, "They were eaten." What? Jiang Fan came to his senses, looking shocked. Weren't only the ancient giants known for eating people? Wait. He thought of the half-giants who had intercepted them, trying to silence them. A face full of frost. Could it be that these were eaten by the half-giants? Princess Zaijiang looked thoughtful and said, "I am not familiar with half-giants. I don't know." Jiang Fan did not say more and slipped the mirror back into his arms. Then he took out the soul of the 4.5 giants, whose eyes were like 2 icy holes spewing cold air. "Tell me what happened here." The 4.5 giants looked around, their expression changing dramatically. You broke the time reversal of this place?" Jiang Fan coldly ordered, "Speak." The 4.5 giants trembled in fear, swallowing hard before speaking. There was a half-giant at the Dharma image realm who ate the inhabitants of several cities. To cover up the truth, he sealed the entire 7 cities of the heavenly abyss in time reversal to hide his actions. And when the ancient giants descend, they would be blamed. Ziwei Fairy stumbled slightly, looking at the scene of devastation, especially the tragic death of that little boy. Tears rolled down her eyes, her body trembling uncontrollably. She said, "Why did he do this?" The 4.5 giants avoided her gaze, not daring to answer. Jiang Fan's eyes glinted with cold light, and a soul-shocking stab shot from his brow, piercing into the giant's soul. "Ah!" The 4.5 giants let out a heart-wrenching roar. I'll talk, he pointed to the sky and said, the great hunt of the heavenly realm has begun. That Dharma image realm half-giant, he wants to imitate his ancestors and learn to hunt. Jiang Fan's eyes were full of coldness. Imitate ancestors? You half-giants were born in Central Earth, grew up in Central Earth, yet recognized the ancient giants who eat our kind as ancestors. The 4.5 giants shivered, frantically waving hands, and said, that is his personal action. It does not represent us in Heavenly Heritage City. We are still very willing to fight against the ancient giants. The cover-up was out of concern that the matter would spread and affect our reputation and alliance with Star Mountain. Jiang Fan tilted his head towards the sky, suppressing a volcano about to erupt in his chest. How does your Heavenly Heritage City plan to deal with this Dharma image realm half-giant? The 4.5 giants dared not meet Jiang Fan's eyes, feeling guilty. The city lord said it's not easy to cultivate a Dharma image realm. Keep him alive, let him atone on the battlefield. Ha-ha-ha, ha-ha-ha-ha. Jiang Fan laughed, a furious laugh full of anger. He ate the people of several cities, committed an unpardonable evil. You're going to let him off with a mere slap on the wrist? You don't solve the problem, you try to eliminate those who found it, even willing to silence them. He pointed to the comatose old woman, a touch of madness flaring in his eyes. He was truly angry. The demon moon had killed so many disciples of the Nine Sect at Boundary Mountain, yet he hadn't been so furiously enraged. Because that battle was between the human clan and the demon race. Both sides had their own standpoints. The demon moon stood from the position of the demon race, understandable. But this Dharma image realm half-giant recognized the ancient giants as ancestors and imitated their great hunt, massacring entire cities. And that was that. Heavenly Heritage City actually sheltered him. Sheltering him was already enough. They even tried to eradicate those who would blow the whistle. It's outrageous. Where is that beast? Jiang Fan asked with murderous intent. The 4.5 giants replied, He has already returned to Heavenly Heritage City and has been detained. Jiang Fan laughed with anger. Detained just like that? All those people of the cities died in vain? Lead the way, the 4.5 giants asked nervously. Where to? Jiang Fan coldly replied. Of course, to kill him. I want him to live a life worse than death. He took out a black jade bottle from which soul flames steamed and a curled-up soul wailed under the roasting of soul fire. It was the bottle Venerate Zinni used to torment his own father. With a flick of his finger, he opened the bottle cap. The soul of Venerate Zinni's father, trapped for countless years, immediately rushed out and vanished into the void. Jiang Fan's brow shot out a soul-shocking stab. A scream abruptly ceased echoed in the void as the soul was shattered to pieces. This jade bottle will be that beast's final resting place, Jiang Fan said with deadly intent. He never tortured enemies, always giving a quick death. But this Dharma image realm half-giant did not deserve death. He only deserved eternal torment. Ziwei Fairy hurriedly wiped her tears and said, Jiang Fan, don't be impulsive. Heavenly Heritage City is full of experts, and has as many as 10 strong Dharma image realm warriors. The city lord is a top body refiner at the 5 phases realm. Wait for my teacher. Jiang Fan rose into the sky and said, No need to wait. 7 days have passed. If your teacher received the news, she would have come by now. Unexpectedly, the jade ball Ziwei Fairy placed into the void had already been intercepted. Couldn't rely on Star Mountain, nor on the Kinshin Bureau. He could only rely on his own people. With a beckon of his palm, a token formed by Thunderbolt appeared in his hand. This was a parting gift from his godmother, Venerable Xianxia. She said as long as it was crushed, no matter where she would come to assist. Arc shot into Jiang Fan's forehead, forming a Thunderbolt Seal. The remaining thunder arc spread out like a ripple, vanishing into the void. Such widespread communication, no one can intercept it. After doing this, Jiang Fan turned around. He gazed at the desolate city beneath his feet, void of all life. With a raise of his palm, he conjured a colossal thunder sword of red and pale lightning intertwined. Then he dashed outside the city, slicing across the earth beneath Kayang City, separating it from the ground. The soul of a 4.5 giant gasped. Wah, what are you doing? Jiang Fan said nothing, diving underground. Boom. A deafening crash as if the heavens were sundered. Kayang City rose from the ground. Jiang Fan held Kayang City up with one hand, gripping the purple sword with the other, his gaze icy. I will settle a blood debt for the deceased. Lead the way. The 4.5 giant swallowed hard, looking up at the massive city blocking the sun, fear creeping into his heart. This time, the conquering heaven general has truly stirred the heavens. Jiang Fan carried Kayang City across the heavenly abyss, striding towards the eastern lands, charging towards Heavenly Heritage City with a rumbling sound. Xiu Fairy, her eyes full of complexities, murmured. Back at Boundary Mountain, he also charged into the demon race in fury for the fallen 9 sects disciples, didn't he? This time I will join him. She bit the tip of her tongue, spitting a mist of blood, sprinkling it on the ruins of Kayang City. The blood merged into large words. Heavenly Heritage City, blood for blood. The time reversal here was broken, causing temporal chaos that would undoubtedly attract the attention of the Great Wine Sacrifice, the master of Star Mountain, and that mysterious elder. They would rush here, and the words on the ground served as a clue for them. After doing this, she caught up with Jiang Fan, killing towards Heavenly Heritage City together, the heart of the eastern lands. An endless giant city made of white bones stretched between heaven and earth. In the city, a spacious and luxuriously arranged giant bone palace sat at the bustling city center. Inside the palace, a giant 5 zhang approx. 16.67 meters in height with purple veins covering its body, lounged on a lavish fur-covered bed, holding a bloodied human clan woman. Her bones were all broken, her divine ring shattered beyond repair. She hung limply like a noodled rag, her face etched in intense pain. This was the divinity transformation venerable who guarded the 7 cities of the heavenly abyss. For some unknown reason, she failed to guard the 7 cities of the heavenly abyss and ended up in the hands of this half-giant. The 5 zhang half-giant chuckled with sarcasm. The venerable who guards the 7 cities of the heavenly abyss does have some appeal. Once the ancient giant bloodline in me cools and my body can shrink, I'll relish in you thoroughly. At this moment, a young man of regular human size, dressed in splendid attire, stepped into the palace. Upon seeing the human clan woman, he frowned slightly, saying, Conquering heaven, the current narrative outside is that you are imprisoned. Keep a low profile, don't let it be known. Heavenly Heritage City had a total of 10 Dharma Image Realm individuals, all granted the rank of general. The one present was indeed the Conquering Heaven General. He slowly got up, saying, Conquering Heaven greets the Young City Lord. Young City Lord, there's no need for concern. With the sage's involvement, even the Heavenly King's arrival wouldn't divulge the matter of the 7 cities of the Heavenly Abyss. And even if they somehow found out, so what? This is our half-giant's Heavenly Heritage City, as if the human clan dares to come attack. The youth in splendid attire was the Young City Lord. With handsome features and slender eyes, his face always bore a slight smile. He squinted, speaking calmly, I wish for no disruptions to my union with Xiu Fairy. If because of you we lose Star Mountain's trust and the marriage agreement is compromised, you won't want to know the consequences. The Conquering Heaven General grinned. Rest assured, Young City Lord, I won't jeopardize your good fortune. I've heard Xiu Fairy is of unmatched beauty, like a fairy descending to the mortal world. Young City Lord's fortune is enviable. The Young City Lord's slender eyes flashed with a hint of malice. The Master of Star Mountain seeks alliance with us half-giants to fight against the ancient giants. Willing to marry off his only true disciple, the heir of Star Mountain. To me, hoping through marriage to end the conflicts between the eastern and western lands and unite against the enemy. Since the Master of Star Mountain is offering his treasured disciple to me, I of course will gladly accept. I will sow seeds heavily in the #1 beauty of Star Mountain. The Conquering Heaven General laughed heartily. Those magic cultivation practitioners are truly pitiful, ceding their lands for us to enjoy, offering their women for us to defile, all while begging us for peace. A bunch of utterly pathetic waste, as they ridiculed. Suddenly there were continuous rumblings outside Heavenly Heritage City. A short half-giant rushed in, exclaiming, This is bad, Young City Lord, Conquering Heaven General. A human is carrying a city over to our Heavenly Heritage City, claiming to settle accounts with the Conquering Heaven General, carrying a city. The faces of the Young City Lord and Conquering Heaven General both darkened. The Conquering Heaven General stuffed the female venerable into a bag at his waist, sneering. Who would dare so boldly, openly seeking out a Dharma Image Realm figure in Heavenly Heritage City? Utterly lawless. I'd like to see which human venerable it is. The Young City Lord raised his hand to stop him, saying, You shouldn't show your face. Right now you are supposedly in custody. I'll handle it. He showed a trace of ferocity in his eyes, boldly coming to provoke Heavenly Heritage City. Does this human venerable see Heavenly Heritage City as what kind of place? If he doesn't leave him with an explanation today, he shouldn't think of leaving easily. Immediately, hands behind his back, he took a step forward. Appearing as if through instantaneous movement, he reappeared above Heavenly Heritage City. He lifted his gaze. A massive solitary city, borne by a youth dressed in black, rumbled its way towards Heavenly Heritage City. Assessing the youth's cultivation, the young city lord laughed with disdain. I thought it was some three-headed, six-armed divine person. A mere nascent soul realm ant dares to make trouble in my Heavenly Heritage City. He sat back, and 2 4.5 giants of 9 orifice level came carrying a golden throne, gleaming, just managing to let the young city lord take a seat, sitting steadily on the throne. Simultaneously, a cup of world-class spiritual tea, capable of enhancing late-stage nascent soul cultivation, was presented before him. He held the teacup, gently blowing away the steam, not sparing Jiang Fan a glance, saying calmly, Heavenly Heritage City allows no one more arrogant than me. In 10 breaths I want his head. Swish. In front of him, a squad of 10 gold-armored 4.5 giants appeared suddenly. The 10 marshals of the East City obey. The gold-armored giants, brimming with murderous intent, immediately charged towards Jiang Fan. Their expressions stern, without any unnecessary words, launching a lethal physique technique towards Jiang Fan. 10 allies near the Dharma image realm attacking together. Even the human clan's divinity transformation venerable would have to avoid them, let alone a mere atorifice nascent soul.